Would you like 2 massive hardcover books stuffed full of Dungeon Master resources? More than 25 adventures spanning levels 1 to 15, over 100 new monsters, magic items, traps, puzzles, NPCs, villains, and amazing custom artwork throughout both books to inspire your gameplay. If so, Layers and Legends pre-orders are now available. Did you miss the Kickstarter? Do you still want to get your loots? Just click the link below and look for the big green pre-order button. Oops.
All right. Hello. Hi. Oh, I gotta go. Sorry. All right, I'm back. Oh! What's up, folks? How you doing? John Oslagard, hello, dude. Jonathan Oslagard, sorry, has confirmed that I am late, but there is a good reason. I would like to know what the good reason is. My dog and I went for a hike today. We have this park we go to that's the route we take is a little over 2 hours to do a hike. And I have like a big backpack I put on and stuff. I probably have about 50 pounds of gear all told that I take with me. Most of it is just, I have like first aid kit and a poncho and like a bunch of water and crap. I take more than I technically need, but part of it's intentionally to make the pack heavier. Other part of it is just to be prepared just in case. Because sometimes I don't see anybody on the trails, so who knows? I got a snake bite kit in there, all that kind of good crap. So anyway, my dog and I were out for a 2-hour hike, and I got to drive there, hike, drive back, shower and stuff, and then I had dinner and crap, and then I got done with dinner and I was goofing around with some stuff for the job, and then I started getting ready for the live stream a little bit late. So that's the reason. That's my excuse for being late. A 3-mile run? Dude, that's hardcore. I don't do that. I do probably, I would say about once a week usually. I do like a run walk where it's like I have this route that I take that's about 45 minutes, and I jog it and walk it, and it takes me about 45 minutes. So it's probably close to 2 miles, maybe 3 miles. It might, no. How fast do I normally run in my jog? I probably run about 4.5 miles an hour when I jog. So let's see how far this route is. I do not jog very fast. I'm a big boy, and I am not a runner. So let's see. Oh, come on, baby. Come on, baby. So if it takes me 45, can somebody do math for me, actually? If it takes me 45 minutes and I average 4 miles an hour, how long of a jog is that? I'm walking some of it, but I'm also jogging for some of it. My jog is probably about 4.5 miles an hour. So I think that it's probably averages 4 miles an hour. So I do it for 45 minutes and I average 4 miles an hour. Somebody help me. It's 3 miles. Thank you, Goliath Cleric. That sounds about right. There you go. So T-Day, I also went for a 3-mile run, but it took me 45 minutes. I bet yours was much faster. Oh gosh, that's a great question. Let's hit that. Please make sure that Orcs racist question gets in the sheet and marked so I can touch on that. That should be spicy. Oh. Shockwave, hello. How you doing? Shockwave is currently on a 4-mile walk right now. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Hold on a second, Gladclair, do some more math for me, please. if I go for a 2-hour walk, a hike, and on this 2-hour hike, I probably average 2 miles an hour. It's probably about 2 miles an hour because you can't actually hike through cross-country trails at 3 miles an hour. That's crazy. D&D math is ridiculously stupid. But 2 miles an hour with a heavy pack, that's reasonable. A couple breaks here and there. So if I walk for 2 hours at 2 miles an hour, okay, I'm stupid. That's 4 miles. I can do that math. That math is easy. I figured that one out. Thank you, Goliath Cleric. I appreciate just making me look stupid. Well, you did. It's not your fault. I made myself look stupid. 2 times 2 equals 4. Thank you, Tom KTO. I appreciate the help. Oh. Flames Gaming is laughing at me. That's not nice. That's not very nice. Wilhelm Dutcher, what's up, dude? Your first DM, my first in-person campaign in a while. Cool. That's awesome, dude. Welcome back, man. My first in-person game after not running in person for like 2 years was amazing. It was so much fun. In-person games are so much more fun. It is just mind-bogglingly amazing. And I didn't even notice the difference until I came back from not having run a game in person. And then the first time I was in person, it was just shocking how much more fun it was. And it continues to be so. When we first transitioned from in-person to online, I didn't notice the lack of fun. But now going back to it, it is palpable. It is so amazing. Everybody's a bit dumb when tired after a lot of exercise. I'm not really tired. So the thing with hiking for like however long with a heavy pack and stuff is it's exercise, but you don't really get winded. Like you're not breathing really heavy, you know. I mean, your breathing is elevated and stuff a little bit, but it's not that exertion. It's not that type of exertion. It's the exertion of after 2 hours of hiking, your legs start to be sore and you can feel that they don't have energy anymore. They don't want to keep going, if that makes sense. But you don't like right now after having come home and like gotten some food and stuff, I feel fine. I'm not lacking for energy. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that makes sense. It's like a different type of exercise than like other things. Like if you go to the gym, like there have been times I go to the gym and I'll like do some weightlifting and then do some cardio and crap, and I'll get home and I'll be like tired. I can feel it. I'm like, I don't know. It's different. I've been making myself feel stupid since high school. Well, I mean, I do my best. Flames Gaming, it's midnight. You must be in Europe. Would be my guess. All right, you guys want to start this? We should start this. All right, let's do this. I gotta find some buttons to push. Okay, here we go. Okay, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live stream. Tonight, we have a wonderful show prepared for you. I'm gonna sit here, read your questions, and answer your questions. It's gonna be absolutely spectacular. It's the same thing we do almost every time. We don't actually have shows. I mean, that's me being stupid as a show. But okay, anyway, so Q&A live stream, that's what we're doing tonight. We do have a giveaway going on tonight. We always have a giveaway during my live streams. There is a link in the chat. Someone will throw that in there for you to go sign up for the giveaway. We're giving away a D&D book of your choice or store credit to the DM Lair store where you can get finds of tons of wonderful, beautiful merchandise to use in your D&D games. We actually have a lot of cool crap on the DM Lair store. It's pretty cool. Like Into the Fae Kickstarter. We have tons of D&D 5th edition adventures over there. We have back issues of Lair magazine. What else do we have? What other crap do I got over there? Oh, map packs. We got map packs over there. Digital maps you can use in your games. So digital maps are beautiful. I was preparing an adventure for my Ancient Dragon group for this weekend's game, and I was just browsing through tons of digital maps, and then I find the ones that, hey, that'll work, because I had a certain idea in my head of what I wanted to happen in the game, or, you know, and then no, it was for a one-shot. It's for a D&D one-shot that I'm running on Sunday. But I had an idea of kind of what I needed in a map, but I wasn't sure, so I just browse through a big catalog of maps, I find the one I want, and then I make it work. And it's so much easier doing that than custom making a map for every single encounter or adventure. I'm more and more starting to turn to pre-made maps that I just grab, and then I create the adventure according to the map. It works really well. So anyway, I'm sorry, that was a tangent. What else we got going on? We are raising money for Stack Up. Right here, you can see that we are almost there. We have $300 left to raise for Stack Up, and we will have raised $6,000 for them. Stack Up is a military charity. They help out veterans and active service members through promoting positive mental health and suicide prevention. So, you know, if you're not aware, and maybe people aren't, you know, I've never experienced it myself. I never served in the military or anything, but they go through a lot of stress and a lot of crap. And so whether they're still active or whether they're veterans, you know, they have to deal with lots of mental pressure and stress and stuff. There's lots of stuff going on there. I've had one of the dudes from Stack Up who was in the military come on before, and he's talked about it at length and stuff. So Stack Up really helps veterans, active service members with that mental pressure, that stress, that stuff that they go through, you know. They do a lot of good stuff. Our goal is to raise $6,000 for them. We are almost there. We have $3,000 to go. And for incentives, if you donate $50, what do I do on stream for $50? I do stupid stuff on stream if you donate certain amounts of money, and I forget what they were. Let me see. Okay, $50, I do push-ups. $100, I will do a happy dance on stream for you. I've had to dance multiple times. It's been spectacular. $250, I sing a song, and I'm a really, really wonderful singer. So you probably won't want to never see me sing ever. It's horrible. Everybody who donates $25 or more, you will automatically get a whole bunch of digital resources just for donating $25 to Stack Up. I'll send you a whole bunch of crap you can use in D&D games. It's really cool. If we get to $6,000, I'm going to run a one-shot game for the top 5 donors. And we already have a couple people that have donated, like, I don't know, $1,000, $750. We have some really big donors that are about to get into that game. So that'll be cool. But yeah, we got $300 to go. So there's definitely going to be a D&D game, and the top donors are going to be in that. Top 5 donors, baby. Oh yeah, that's right. $500, I do burpees. Yeah, that's like the unofficial thing. I don't mention that a whole lot. Thank you, Goliath Cleric. I try to not tell people about that because burpees are horrible. They're one of the worst exercises mankind has invented. All right, what else we got going on? We talked about the giveaway. I got that. We got Stack Up going on. LairCon. It's gonna happen this October 7th, 8th, and 9th. There's a link down in the chat. There's a link in the description where you can learn more about LairCon. This is the t-shirt from last year's LairCon. We have a new t-shirt and artwork for this year's LairCon, of course, but it's gonna be in Pensacola, Florida, October 7th, 8th, and 9th. I will be there. Many of my teammates will be there. We'll be playing D&D games, other RPG games. There'll be tabletop games. We have events, we have panels, we have workshops. We have a whole bunch of cool stuff going on down there. So yeah, come down there, come say hi to me. I would love to meet you. I say that and crap, I'm serious. My highlight of my year, one of the biggest highlights of my year is going to LairCon and seeing people. I was literally talking to my wife this morning about LairCon and stuff, and where did you just come from? Hey, come get in your bed. Get in your bed. Get in your bed. My dog is wandering around. That's not good, because that usually means she's doing something she shouldn't be doing. Yeah, she's giving me a guilty look. And I'm worried what she did and where she did it. Okay, I'll have to deal with that later, I suppose. What was I trying to say? Oh, I don't know. my wife was talking about how last year we lost money at LairCon, and then this year, you know, she's like, "Are you gonna break even this year?" And I'm just like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Well, why are you even doing it?" And I'm trying to explain to her, I'm like, some things you do because you want to do it and you enjoy doing it. And I'm like, the other parts of the business subsidize that part of the business so that I can do something that's fun and that I enjoy doing. And so she's still like, no. I'm just like, yes, I'm doing. So anyway, oh, hey, look at that. We've already hit $6,000. It looks like. There it is. So what was the donation? We hit $6,000 for Stack Up. Let's see, where are these? Oh, there we go. Craig Pete. I don't know how to say your last name. I'm sorry. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. $350 for Stack Up. That's gonna get. I'm gonna sing a song for that at some point in the stream. I'll probably save that for like maybe at the end or before one of the breaks or something. So yeah, but that's great. I have a song coming. Sweet. That's beautiful. Thank you, sir. Squeaky. He keeps biting me. He's down there biting me. This cat's gonna get it. Okay, I have one more thing, and then we're gonna start answering questions. I swear to you. I swear. All right. I want to take a moment to thank all of my awesome patrons and YouTube channel members. These folks here help support everything that we do around here. They support all of the free content that we offer to the D&D community and all of the premium content that we offer to the D&D community. Free content. Over my website, thedmlair.com, we have tons of free Dungeon Master resources, complete 5th edition adventures, monsters, we have traps, we have puzzles, we have encounters, we have villains, NPCs. We have a whole bunch of stuff over there on the site, completely free for you to use in your games. And obviously we do the videos, we do the live streams, all of this types of stuff that we're doing to help Dungeon Masters out. And these folks help support that. Deeply, deeply appreciative. Also, they get, all patrons get an issue of Lair magazine every month, which is our premium content that we give. They get map packs, they get additional 5th edition adventures. There's lots of premium perks that patrons get as well for helping to support all of our content. So very deeply appreciative to everything that they do. They are literally, I could not be doing what I'm doing without them. I would still be working at my day job and have like no life and be getting like crap little sleep every night. But now I can actually sleep like a normal human being and do this full time. And I'm very deeply appreciative that they can make that happen. Okay, cool. Next, the folks in red pay me more money. So I read their names out. They bribed me. Like, read my name. Squeaky, I swear, you keep biting me, you're gonna get it. He's a big tub down there. He's jealous because I'm talking to you. All right, here we go. 5e Magic Shop, Alex T, Amanda W, Ambers, Amy P, Andrew M, Andre U, Alan DS, Andy W, Anthony B, Antoine B, Arrow Odd, Arutha, Ashley, Baldwin, Bardabear, Ben B, Benjamin B, Barncastle, Brandon A, Byron M, Celestina K, Chris C, Christopher S, Clay W, Cody B, Contrary Gravy, Corey S, Double D, Draxus, Dresna, Duddy K, Dutch, Ed R, Edward L, Ericos, Fabian H, Flame Black 200, Frostbrew, Galst, Gene A, Goliath Cleric, Gravy Chorn, Harlan S, Heather L, Iggy, It's Beoban, Izzy T, Jackie Pizza, Jake L, Jacob K, James L, Jan F, Jeremy W, Jessica. He paid me twice. He paid me twice as much to get his name on there twice. I have no idea. There are probably two of them. Jessica W, J, Jim P, Jimmy J, L, Q, JM, Joe D, John A, John C, John D, Joseph H, Josh S, K, Cal S, KK, Keith L, Kevin F, Kezides, Kirby, Kyle G, Kyle M, Labraworks, Lionheart, Magnan, Marty M, Marwin R, Matt B, Matthew J, Michael L, Mirastall, Mr. Linkanu, Mr. T, Ol S, Omega Fire, O&D, Penguin Butt, Published author Rachel S, Radiance Guardians, Ramus, Razlik, Race W, Renner C, Robert C, Robert J, Ron R, Ronald, Ryan, Ryan H, SG Sounders, Sakura, Sam B, Samuel R, Scott V, Shadow 1317, Shane L, Sheila A, Tiggy, Snowy Tiggy, Son of a Sofa Man, Soul Naya, Stephen T, Stephen A, R, I'm sorry. Tactical Tokens, a 3/4 Hospital, the old DM, The Pickle, The New Bed, Ombre, Thomas F, Thomas T, Thora the Explorer, Tiger 500, Tim Black, Tim and K, Tiro Sanji, I'm sorry. Tom C, Travel and Cash, Travels the Lost, Tyler R, Vincent G, Vladimir S, Volhoff V, Will M, William C, William H, XX Redrum, Zachary J. Whew, thank you. Appreciate that. I horribly slaughtered a couple names on there, and I am deeply sorry. I'm just bad at this. Yeah, David, right now we're gonna do questions. It's gonna be okay. Holy crap, when are the questions gonna get answered? I don't know, dude. When I feel like it, you know what? Now we're gonna take a little. He's pissed at me now. He's like, I'm done. Okay, bye, Luke. Sorry. All right, let's see. What's my favorite bacon? I don't know. I think any bacon is good. Do you tell your players when you use a monster's legendary resistance why or why not? No, absolutely not. No. What, let them metagame? So they can metagame? Hey guys, cast cantrips until he goes through all of his legendary resistances. Cast cantrips. Just don't use your big spells. Wait until we've gone through. No, dude. Never tell them when you're using legendary resistances. All it does is invite metagaming. That's all it does. You still roll your die and you just tell them. I mean, I might still tell them I succeeded because a lot of times that makes a difference on the effects and stuff. But I'm not going to tell them that I chose to use a legendary resistance. No stinking way. Thank you. Goodbye. So yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, here's the big boy. What's your opinion on the orcs are racist argument some players and people who don't play the game say? I would say that people who play the game say that as well, but I think a lot of people who probably don't play the game say that. What's my opinion on it? They're morons. I think that's the bottom line. They have a misunderstanding of all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to know what orcs are actually representative of, it's Hitler and the Nazis, because when Tolkien wrote that stuff, that's what was going on in the world. And so if you're going to draw a parallel between the orcs and any other thing, it's going to be Nazi Germany and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what they correlate to in the real life. If you want to draw a conclusion, if you want to say that orcs are parallel to some other people group, I think, who do they normally say that they're parallel to? I think they normally associate them with like Native Americans or something. I think that's what I've heard somebody say. Don't quote me on that though. I might have my facts wrong on that. Or they might associate them with like people of different skin color or something. I don't know what those folks are trying to purport. What I can tell you is that they got it wrong. They're not equating it to the right thing. They have a misunderstanding. They have a fundamental misunderstanding of what it was all about. And the reason that that orcs are being changed and drow are being changed is simply that, you know, the folks who make those decisions are kowtowing. They're giving in to, you know, social media pressure and people freaking out and throwing a tantrum. You know, the vocal minority that just, yeah, that's what's going on. But they're not racist. They're a different species. Our beholders are evil. Oh my gosh, that's racist. What? Why? Beholders are evil? What about dragons? Some dragons are evil, some are good. Oh my gosh, it's how is it? Like, if you say that there is a species, orcs are an entirely different species and they're evil, and that's somehow supposed to be racist. It's not. We're talking about race, folks. We're talking about different species. Calm down. So yeah, I think it's ridiculous. It was never written that way. It was never intended that way. I think some people are reading it that way erroneously because they're misinformed and because they probably are looking to find an issue and make a big deal about it. That would be my guess. But that's just one man's opinion on it. So there you go. Now people are going to be pissed at me because I didn't jump on the bandwagon, you know, and be like, nah, for no particular reason. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Just can't stand people getting freaked out over nothing. Throwing, yeah. All right, let's do the next one. What should I do when one of my players doesn't want magic items because it's lame that magic items make you strong? Just don't give them magic items. We're done. Thank you. Goodbye. You don't want magic items because they make you strong? Well then, okay, fine. Don't use them. I don't care. That's your choice. I just don't care. They're gonna be magic item drops. There's gonna be gold. There's gonna be monsters in the game. There are gonna be orcs that want to kill you, and stuff like that. And if you don't want to engage with one of those game elements, if you want to just ignore the magic items, you're welcome to. I don't care. I'm still gonna put them in the game because most players like magic items and you don't, and that's fine. I don't care. I should say that I'm indifferent to it. You can choose to do what you want with magic items, but I'm not gonna do anything different because of your distaste for magic items. Like, I just don't care. It doesn't matter to me. You do it, you do your thing, you do you, and I'm just gonna keep putting magic items in the game and you can ignore them. And if that makes the game more fun for you, because it's more challenging, because you don't have the use of those magic items, that's great. Everybody's winning. You're winning when you choose not to use them. The other players are winning when they choose to use them. And I'm winning because I'm offering a diverse range of options for everybody and different things that different people will like to engage with and enjoy about the game. But I'm probably not going to do anything different based upon one person's dislike for magic items. It doesn't, yeah. Have you ever used the deck of many things? Yes, several times. Where players ended up in the realm of Demogorgon? No, never happened. I don't even know if that's in there. Like, to fight with him, honestly. Nope, I've never specifically done that very, very exact thing, ever. Hello, back to the Netherlands. What is your house rule on what items the players start the campaign with so that it isn't balanced, that it isn't unbalanced? I mean, starting a campaign. Let's just go look at my rules. Hold on a second. I can just walk you through my character creation rules that kind of tell people what they're allowed to start the game with. Let me go find them really quick. I gotta just pull them up. And then we'll go take a look at them here. I think I have it over here. And character creation rules. Okay, cool. Let's go take a look at this. I don't know why I have them posted on Reddit. I don't know. I just put them here a long time ago and I've just left them here. But I have them posted here. They are, yeah, you have to want to be an adventurer and go on adventures, and you got to have a reason to adventure with the group because I run group games. But so 27 point buy, average hit points. Yeah, the different races and classes and crap you can choose from. This is the real rules right here. These are the rules. The starting gold is based on the level you're at. All items in the player handbook can be purchased at the price listed, as can spell components for spells with a gold piece cost listed. Levels 1 to 4, you get no additional starting wealth. Levels 5 through 10, you get an additional 500 gold pieces, one uncommon magic item, and non-magical armor of your choice, such as plate armor. Levels 11 through 16, 2,000 gold pieces, one uncommon magic item, one rare magic item, and a non-magical armor of your choice, such as plate armor. Levels 17 through 20, 4,000 gold pieces, one uncommon, one rare, and one legendary magic item, and non-magical armor of your choice. All magic items must be approved by the Dungeon Master, and the Dungeon Master reserves the right to consider certain magic items to be a higher rarity than listed, such as Boots of Flying, which are not uncommon, or whatever they have them listed as. They're far more powerful than they're listed as in the Dungeon Master. Literally, this annoys the crap. Okay, we're gonna look at this. This is proof to me. This is proof to me that some people don't know what the heck they're doing. They're like smoking stuff, or they're drinking stuff, or I don't know what they're doing over there. But literally, we're gonna take a look at this. Literally on the same stinking page are two magic items that are practically identical in that they have different commonalities or rareness types or whatever. It's absolutely mind-bogglingly dumb. I don't understand how this works. Okay, so oh crap. I just splashed coffee all over the place. Okay, check this out. Okay. We have winged boots, which are supposedly uncommon. And then we have wings of flying, which are rare. Now, check this out. We're gonna walk through this. Wings of flying. While wearing this cloak, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it turns this fish turns the cloak into a pair of wing bats or bird wings on your back for 1 hour. Okay? They give you a flying speed. When they disappear, you can't use it again for 1d12 hours. So you get 1 hour of use roughly every 6 hours, every 6.5 hours average, okay? Now, that's rare. Now take a look at winged boots, which is supposedly uncommon. You can see that I have it changed already to very rare. It's supposedly uncommon. While you wear these boots, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed, which is 30 feet. You can use the boots to fly for up to 4 hours, all at once or in several shorter flights, each one using a minimum of 1 minute from the duration. Okay, look it. You can use this in every single combat in the entire adventuring day because you just turned on for 1 minute. So every combat you can fly, and whenever you need the utility of flying, you can fly because you can put it in little tiny bursts of 1 minute at a time. And there are like, what, 240 minutes in an hour? That's 240 times you can friggin' fly, okay? And then, yeah. The boots regain 2 hours of flying capacity for every 12 hours they aren't in use, okay? It's crazy! The winged boots have way more utility and way more usefulness for flying purposes than the wings of flying ever do. Now you can say, well, it's 30 feet versus 60 feet flying speed. Irrelevant, right? You can fly. The utility there is like amazing. So it's just mind-boggling to me that we can have two magic items literally next to each other on the same page, and this one, for some reason unbeknownst to me, is uncommon. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Jay, what's up, dude? Good to see you, buddy. I remember you from the con, man. I hope you come to this year's, dude. It's gonna be October 7th, 8th, and 9th in Pensacola. It's actually on screen literally right now. There we go. Okay, that rant's done. Let me put this away. What were we talking about? Well, I was talking about my character creation rules, wasn't I? Okay, so that was a tangent. We'll come back to this now. I have another little caveat. If you choose magical armor as one of your starting magic items, you do not get non-magical armor of your choice. Because no, we're not playing the pick plate armor and then sell it for easy money game. Nor is a spare suit of armor something that would be reasonable to carry around in an adventure. Oh, I'm basically just trying to avoid players being able to like cheat the system and get 750 gold pieces for free, essentially. So that's what that rule's all about. Non-magical armor means mundane armor that is listed in the player handbook. For instance, adamantine and mithril armor both count as magical armor for our purposes here, because somebody's going to be like, well, they're not actually magical. Well, but they're not in the player handbook. They're in the Dungeon Master Guide, and I consider them to be magical armor for these purposes. And then you can also buy health potions with your starting gold as well. So you can start out with some of the health potions to keep you alive. So those are my rules that I've been using. I tweaked them, I would say about 6 months ago or so, a little bit, because I was giving players too much gold. And they would literally just create characters and then stock up on healing potions. They would have like, I don't know, 20 to 30 healing potions. Like just that's all they would buy is healing potions. And I was like, huh, I've given them too much gold, I guess. So yeah, we cut that down a little bit. All Iron Lord 79, hello, what's up, dude? Welcome back, man. Yes, bandoliers of healing potions, which the first whack in battle breaks them all. I think is how that would go. All right. Jerry Ransom says, how would you deal with a player who wants to critique the Dungeon Master does and the minis used? I'm not going to take to it very well. I'm probably going to politely put up with it for 1 or 2 game sessions, and then I'm going to probably ask him to stop, and it's going to, I think my insistence on that person stopping is going to just slowly ratchet up as my annoyance increases. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to culminate in my essentially saying something like, listen, I'm running the game here. Okay. And here's the other thing. It depends on how the feedback is being given. The thing is that usually unsolicited feedback is unwelcome feedback. Almost always. Unless you have a hierarchical arrangement where it's expected that the person with the higher rank or something gives feedback. If you don't have that relationship, if instead you have a peer relationship, unsolicited feedback is usually unwelcome feedback. Now, in the case of a hierarchical relationship, let's pretend that you have a boss, right? He's your manager and you're his employee. It's expected that they're probably going to give you feedback. Now, you would hope they give you good feedback on the things you're doing well, so you know to keep doing them, and you know that you're on good terms with your boss. But you also would hope that they would give you feedback on things you're doing poorly, because you're almost assuredly doing something poorly that should be improved upon. And if they're not telling you those things, then they're probably just, they know that you're doing bad things and they're just not telling you. And so you're just like, well, what am I doing that's wrong? What am I doing that's wrong, right? So you're going to get both types of feedback, and both types of feedback are good. In a hierarchical relationship, they're to be expected and you should want them, right? Both are going to tell you which things to keep on doing well and which things to get better at and correct. So both of those types of feedback are good. And if you're not getting any of them, or you're only getting one of them, then that probably is not good. But in a peer relationship where there's no hierarchy, then feedback many times can be taken poorly. It's just the way people are. It takes a really big person to take feedback well and not get upset about it, in the absence of that sort of relationship where you would expect feedback. So, but the other portion to this, the other criteria here, is how that feedback is being given. I've had players give me feedback as a dungeon master, and I received it well, in part because it was given well to me. It was properly given to me. I've received other feedback that was not properly given to me, and yeah, you get annoyed at first, but if you can be rational and think about it, then you might say, oh, that's good feedback, or no, I'm not doing that. So it really depends on how they give it. But I can see too that there's my suggestion is if a player's giving you feedback, try to be open-minded and think about it, would be my suggestion. And it really depends on what the feedback is. It's a case-by-case thing, because I can see there are instances of being some feedback from a player to the dungeon master that is really just nitpicking the crap out of you. It's just being like, well, you know, I would have done this, or I would, or, you know, there's a type of feedback that's going to be, you know, just like, dude, this is personal preference. This is your opinion. This is how you would have done it. You know, this is how you would have role played the bad guys or something. But you know, you're just nitpicking it, man, and it's annoying, and you need to just let me be the dungeon master, let me play my guys, okay? There's another type of feedback that is different and that's really good. For instance, you might have a player that says, hey, you know, we have like tons of fights all the time, and the fights are always really, really, really hard, and they're really grueling on us, and we kind of get tired of that all the time. You know, we would appreciate it if some of the fights were a little bit easier from time to time. We like the hard fights, but we also like easier fights too. And see, feedback like that, that's valuable. they're not nitpicking necessarily how you're running the game. They're giving you a little bit of critique on it, but they're giving you valuable information. They're telling you what their preferences are. They're telling you that, hey, you know, we would like a game that's more varied in the difficulty. That's valuable information for you. What you don't want, the opposite is problematic as well, because what you don't want is your players to not like your game, not like certain elements of your game, and then never tell you. And then one day out of the blue, they quit. And you're like, why'd they quit? What happened? Well, I don't know why they quit the game. They didn't say they were not having fun. They didn't say they didn't like it, but they just marched. You see, you don't want that. Ideally, you want your players to communicate with you when they're not enjoying the game so that you can improve. Because then you could be like, okay, cool. They don't like, I gotta. No, some things you might not change. It's your prerogative as the dungeon master. You know, if they all decide that they, or at least one of them or two of them, they want to do something. I don't know. I don't have a good example for you, but that's just not the game you want to run. Then that's your prerogative to make that decision. But at least you can make that decision. The situation where the players give you no feedback, they simply keep all of their frustrations and their dislike for the things that you're doing in your game to themselves, and they leave one day. You have no choice. You have no option. You weren't given the benefit of changing your game, perhaps. But at least if they tell you, you can say and use your brain and be like, no, I'm not changing that. Or, that's a good point. Let's change that. So at least then you can take control, I guess, of your fate, you know. But players marching and leaving is not good if you don't know why they left. But if you know why they left, that at least helps you to know why they left. Like, well, they wanted me to do this and I didn't want to do it and they left. Okay, that's fair. I'll just find some more players. Not a big deal because dungeon masters have the power, right? There are always way more players than there are dungeon masters that can play games, run games for them. And so you can always find more players. It's not, and there's usually, you know, going to be players out there who want to play the type of game you're running. So it's not that big of a deal. You know, if you want to run a game that some of your players aren't interested in playing, that's fine. You'll probably find some players that are interested in that sort of game. But if you like your players and their requests are reasonable and you are okay with changing your game a little bit, well, that's not bad either. That's probably good too, you know? So, but original question with the guy who, in a situation where a guy is critiquing and nitpicking every little tiny thing you're doing unnecessarily, especially if they're doing it in a very, I don't know, I have a word for it, this very like know-it-all, I'm better than you, arrogant way. If they're doing it like that consistently, I would probably like tell them stop and eventually lose it. And if they kept doing it and pissing me off constantly, I would probably ask them to leave the game. And if they didn't want to leave the game, then they'd get the boot. I mean, there would be a progression, you know, of like, okay, please stop. Okay, please stop. Okay, please, you know. So, but I think that is like a very, most people I run into aren't like that, you know. However, I have been with some of those sorts of people, so I got the idea. And yeah, I would not tolerate that. Snarky? Yeah, it could be that way. Yeah. What's your beverage of choice while running a game? I usually have a beer, and then I'll have an energy drink. I'll usually have some sort of like tea or usually like a tea or something with flavored tea, and then I'll have some sort of like Diet Pepsi, like a Diet Pepsi. I usually have 4 different types of drinks. I'll probably have some water too, if I have room in the container that I take to my game. So those are usually my beverages of preference. I don't have just one. I literally have like 5 different types of things that I drink when I run a game. I don't know, good variety. It's my excuse to drink some stuff because usually I don't drink pop except for when I'm playing D&D, and I don't drink energy drinks except for when I'm playing D&D. So those 2 things for my D&D games at least are like my guilty pleasures, where because energy drinks and pop, no matter how you slice it, whether they have sugar or whether they don't have sugar, they are horrible for you. They are the worst, one of the worst things you can consume period. Besides just like eating a can of sugar, like there are just the worst things in the world. Like the leading causes of death in the US are heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Okay, and energy drinks and freaking pop probably contribute to at least 2 of those, if not all 3 of them. They're just absolute garbage. So like if you want to not die, you know, younger, avoiding pop and energy drinks is a really good idea. So yeah, I only have them like once a week because they are good. I just don't. I want to live as long as possible and in good health, because you know the interesting thing is like, well, you can live to be 100. Yeah, but if you're like in horrible health, nothing is fun. Nothing in life is enjoyable. When you feel bad and you feel sick, life doesn't feel that great, you know? And so the prospect of like living another 50 years, but being in poor health, that sucks. I don't want that. I would like to live another 50 years in good health, you know, where I feel good. That sounds appealing to me. But living 50 years where you're in really bad health and every day sucks, yeah, I want to do everything possible in my power to avoid that, you know, which is why I go out and exercise, which is why I try to eat decently for the most part, and I try to avoid putting crap into my body. I still do, I mean, but I try to stay away from stuff too. Kombucha? I don't know what that is. Mayonnaise kombucha? I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Eat the bacon. You know, the interesting thing is, you guys, as much as I talk about bacon, like in every single video, I almost never eat bacon. Like, we just never eat bacon. When's the last time? The last time we had bacon was, I don't know, probably over a month ago. I don't know. We just don't buy a lot of bacon. We don't make a lot of bacon. We just don't. We just don't. I say bacon all the time is like a joke. I've never tried Brazilian coffee. No. You know, the interesting thing is I lived in kombucha's fermented tea. Oh, interesting. Fermented tea? So it's alcoholic? Okay, hold on a second. Let's look this up. Kombucha. Kombucha. Kombucha tea. Kombucha is a fermented, lightly effervescent, sweetened black or green tea drink. But is it alcoholic? Does anybody know if it's alcoholic? Because it says it's fermented. Oh, there's hardly any alcohol in it. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Oh, yep, it does say it's less than 0.05. Yeah, it's hardly anything. Has a lot of sugar in it, though. Yeah, that's the problem. I don't really want to drink it with sugar in it. Okay. John the Vampire, thank you for the question. Member question. Gets priority. It probably took me a while to get to it. I'm sorry. Hi, Luke. I hope you're doing great. Yeah, right now I feel pretty good. I am preparing to run Curse of Strahd. How do I prepare for my first session? Do I just prepare all areas in Barovia? No, you can't prepare every single area in the entire module. No, that's crazy. You have to decide where they're gonna start. Let's pretend. Well, here's the issue too. We say Barovia because that's the entire land, but Barovia is also that town. So have them start in Barovia, the town, and prepare that town, and then plan on them getting a couple plot hooks to do some stuff. There's Death House in that town. That's it. There you go. There's your plot hook. Go to Death House. That's what I did for my Curse of Strahd game. They went into Barovia, the town, and they talkie-talkied. They did some exploration stuff, and then they got a plot hook for Death House, and then they went to Death House, and then we were there for a few game sessions, and then they went somewhere else. While I was running Death House and stuff, I was reading through the rest of the module casually, you know, so that I would have a general idea of different things in it. but I didn't read through it all before I ran the game for them, because the thing is that it doesn't matter if it is an open world sandbox game. You know, Barovia is like, oh, so this Curse of Strahd's open world, you could go anywhere. Blah. Dude, you could go anywhere in any game. You just start walking. But what determines where the characters go? The plot hooks the Dungeon Master gives them. If you only give them a couple different plot hooks, your players are confined to pursue a couple different things. Unless, of course, you have the type of players who will ignore your plot hooks and just wander off randomly. Then you have a totally different situation on your hands. And I personally would probably correct that sort of behavior if I had players who didn't understand social conventions and how plot hooks work and stuff like that. But that's a different topic. But if you prepare certain elements of the game and you're ready to run certain elements of Curse of Strahd, you simply only give your players plot hooks that pertain to those things that you are ready to run. And that constrains them, and then you can anticipate more or less where they're going to go and what they're going to do. If you give them 10 plot hooks for all the different areas in Curse of Strahd, then you have no idea what they're going to pick to do. And you can't possibly prepare all of them. And if you do, it'll be poorly done more than likely. And then, so it'll be challenging on your end, but I think it's also challenging and perhaps frustrating on the player's end too, because the players aren't stupid. The players know that the Curse of Strahd module was designed for a certain level range. And the players know that certain adventures in Curse of Strahd were for low levels, and certain adventures, such as Castle Ravenloft, are for higher level. The players know this. So if you give your players a plot hook for every single possible place in Curse of Strahd, in the land of Barovia, guess what your players are going to be doing in their heads? Okay. Which ones of these were designed for low levels? Because we could go to any of these, but we know Castle Ravenloft is too high a level. Ember Temple, the way he described that sounds tough. So we're not going to those two places. Those are for later. Those are for high levels. Now that windmill, maybe that would work. Yeah, we could maybe do that one. And they talked about that monastery. Maybe that monastery with the crazy abbot or something. Maybe that would work. Maybe we could go there. This is what your players are going to do in their heads. They're not dumb. They're players. They're going to try to figure out where are they supposed to go. Which quests, which adventures were designed for low levels, and they're going to try to go there because they're not stupid. They know, they don't care. It's an open world sandbox game. Well, that's great. But when we wander in our open world sandbox game into an adventure that was designed for level 10 and we're level 3, that's a problem. And so we want to avoid that. And that's what they're going to do. And I'd be like, Luke, that's metagaming. Yeah, so what? You as the dungeon master should be metagaming a little bit too. You should be... There's an expectation. I think, the dungeon master will give them plot hooks for things that they're probably able to handle. And so they can pick those and with confidence go and not get killed. Now, in some instances, you won't do that. I, for instance, for my Curse of Strahd game, I know my players a little bit better and I know what they can handle and can't handle. And so I was giving them plot hooks for things that were very challenging, and just trusted that they would either be able to overcome the challenge, even though it was probably too hard for them, or they would figure it out and then, leave or retreat or something, or they would never get to it. Because I also have a way of, it's smoke and mirrors, right? You can give a variety of plot hooks to your players, but if you know your players and there's a way to do it so that you can give them 5 different options, but they're probably going to pick one of these 2. You just know they are. And they reliably do pick the ones you think they're going to pick, and you manipulate it in certain ways. You're not manipulating it. It's a gamble. It's a strategic gamble. It's like an educated guess, and you gamble on it, and usually you're right. Once you get good at that, you can give lots of plot hooks, even for things like Castle Ravenloft, that you know your players are never going to do, but then you can give them other ones that they probably will go do and they're appropriate level range, you know? So there's a way to do it to make it work, but it's smoke and mirrors. You don't actually expect them to go to Castle Ravenloft, even though you give them that plot hook. I don't know if that makes sense. So there's a lot of talky about Curse of Strahd. Hope that helps, dude. Is the giveaway global or USA? The giveaway is for anybody, anywhere in the world. If you are outside the US, then you will get store, and you win, you will get store credit to my store because I can't ship things across the globe. But if you're within the US, then it could be a physical book that I'll get for you. Those are the caveats, because yeah, I can't. International shipping is unbelievably expensive. Unbelievably. I don't want to talk about that right now. Do you think flanking should give an advantage? I don't use flanking in my games. I don't like it. I have various reasons why I don't like flanking. First of all, it gives an advantage to melee classes, but not ranged classes, and I don't like that. It gives an advantage to melee fighting, but no advantage to spellcasters at all. There are certain classes in the game that are known as crit hunters. Paladins and rogues, for instance, are crit hunters. When they get a crit, the paladin can smite, and smite damage is doubled as well. The dice are. And a rogue, when they crit, all of their sneak attack dice are doubled as well. So flanking with advantage makes crit hunters way more powerful. Flanking, by the way, flanking in the game is super easy. It is trivial to flank enemies. Trivial. When I used to use flanking, it would happen all the time. It's the most trivial thing in the world, and then everybody gets advantage. Well, not everybody. Everybody in melee using weapons gets advantage. And it disproportionately favors them. The other thing that I found with flanking that I thought was horrible is when you have fights against solo monsters, which I don't usually do, and I do that way less now than I did before, for reasons. It's usually not a very good fight when you have one monster against a group of players. It's not, and that's a different topic. But if you were to do that, flanking becomes trivial for the characters to do, and it's impossible for the boss or the solo monster to flank them, and then they're getting advantage. And here's the thing with advantage in 5th edition. I actually don't like the advantage mechanic in 5th edition because at the extremes, it is extremely powerful. For instance, what do I mean at the extremes? At the extremes of armor class. So if you have a character with a 20 armor class and you're attacking with disadvantage, the math, it's like my friend Joe, who is like, he's really good at math. He does like AI development and stuff. He was explaining to me like at the extremes what the probability of hitting is. And like if you have a really high armor class and you're attacking with disadvantage, then you have a very bad chance of hitting. Now, most people will say, well, advantage and disadvantage is a plus or minus 5, generally. On average, it is, on average. But at the extremes, it's much worse. At the extremes of a high armor class, if you have disadvantage, really bad chance of hitting. But if you have somebody who has advantage, even against a high armor class, they have advantage, their chances of hitting gets way better. And especially if you have, in 5th edition, boss or enemies a lot of times don't have super high armor classes. They have so in 5th edition, one of the game mechanics that they implemented is from feedback from previous editions and just gameplay in general, they learned that players don't like missing. And so statistically, the way they designed the game is there's something like a 60% chance to hit any given monster any given time, and only a 40% chance to miss. So you're statistically advantaged to be able to hit more often than not. That's the way the game was designed. And then if you give advantage, that increases that statistic to hit even more. And so advantage, flanking, which is trivial, giving you advantage, just swings the game so much more powerfully in the favor of player and character power. And I don't think it's necessary. It's not necessary whatsoever to do that. they've already made the game trivial. They've already made it easy, and they keep on nerfing things. Today I found out that rock grubs have been nerfed into the ground. I was designing an adventure today for one of my groups, and I was designing a trap, and I was going to put rock grubs in the trap. And there's a chest here. The chest, when it opens, when they open the chest and they don't do the right thing, the chest is curved, and then there's a bottom to the top of the chest, and inside this area is a bunch of rock grubs. And if they open the chest without doing the right thing, that compartment opens and rock grubs just pile out on them, you know. Anyway, I was designing that trap, and I was looking up rock grubs, and I found out that they nerfed them into the ground. Rock grubs used to be really deadly, like really dangerous, and now they're just kind of like stupid little who cares. So yeah, I'm glad I have the real books, Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, because the Monsters of the Multiverse, just every time I see something in there, almost I'm dissatisfied with it. The changes they made, so, and rock grubs was the most recent example of that dissatisfaction. I don't even know what question I was answering. What question was I answering? Oh yeah, flanking. So no, I don't use flanking. All right. The game in general has become too player-centric with respect to power levels and their chances of death. Oh yeah. I run Pathfinder 1, and the players at level 9 are so powerful my prep time has increased dramatically. Yeah, all the crazy stuff they can do, and all the buffing they can do ahead of time. That's one of the things, at least 5th edition. There's a lot of things I like about 5th edition, but one of the things I think 5th edition did well too is the pre-buffing before a fight. You see, in 3.5 or Pathfinder 1st edition, they're essentially the same game, many of the spells you cast just have a duration. And so before a fight, you can just have a whole bunch of spells you cast to get all buffed up, and they just have a duration. Whereas in 5th edition, to avoid that sort of thing, which can get very cumbersome, they have concentration, which is a beautiful mechanic, which prevents that sort of thing from happening. So that part is that the idea of concentration and limiting the pre-combat buffs that everybody's going to throw on streamlines the game and is an improvement by far. Because I can see in Pathfinder or 3.5, if your players are throwing all these pre-fight buffs, then you have to play that same game. You have to have your enemies doing pre-fight buffs as well for them to stay on the same playing field, or you have to just throw like really hard enemies or something at them. So yeah, I can see that for sure. Okay. Yeah, I have a bunch of cats down here. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 cats. I have 6 cats gathered around here. They want their treat. They want their treats, which we're gonna do. All right, we're gonna give them our cat treats and stuff like that, and I'm gonna get some more coffee and stuff. But first, a couple shameless plugs from our sponsor. I am my own sponsor. LairCon, folks. LairCon is this year, October 7th, 8th, and 9th in Pensacola, Florida. There's a link down in the chat where you can get more information about LairCon. Tickets are available. We have VIP tickets where you play D&D with me. We have premium tickets where you play with people from the DM Lair team. And we have, standard passes and stuff like that. Now, I can tell you that of the VIP tickets, the last I checked, there's only 1 remaining now. As of yesterday, there were 2 remaining, and now there's only 1 remaining. And then the premiums and stuff, there are quite a few of those left. But you probably don't want to wait too long, because once they start going, I only have so many team members. We're running only so many games of D&D. But passes are available, merch is available, stuff like that. Come hang out with us. I'll be there. Many of my teammates will be there. I would love to see you. Come up and say hi to me. I love meeting and talking to people at the conventions. It's one of the reasons I do the convention. It's just to meet people and hang out. It's really fun. Okay, and then also Layers and Legends pre-orders are now available. You can see this messaging right here across the bottom of the screen. 2 big fat books full of Dungeon Master resources. One book is, it's like, these books are going to be so big. Adventures in it. Monsters, tons of adventures, tons of monsters. And then the other book, the Loot and Lore book, is going to have NPCs, puzzles, traps, encounters, random tables. We have just tons and tons of Dungeon Master resources packed in these books. So you can pre-order them and get yourselves hooked up. It's gonna be beautiful. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to give the cats their treat. So let's get that going. This is the cat treat right here. And we'll get them all excited. Yeah. Yep. All right. What? All right, I will be back. Happy Midsummer. But is that today? How is today Midsummer? It's not even July. It is. Today is Midsummer. Oh, Midsummer 2002 in Germany. Oh, is it just a Germany thing? Huh. That's interesting. It sounds like it's some sort of festival. Or maybe it's a European thing. The longest day of the year. It's a celebration of the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, but it's also a celebration of life and love. Okay, cool. Sweden? Okay, cool. Midsummer is a holiday, not actually midsummer. Huh? Oh, I gotcha. Whoa! Jeez. Big boy. What the heck happened there? The first day of summer was the 21st for us. Okay, cool. I was like, we're halfway through summer? How is that possible? It's June! We'll get to that. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. This is a good, I like this one. Where is this thing? It seems like a constant question is, how does a game master keep players in line and still run a fulfilling game? Those are two completely different things. Neither of those compete with each other. Neither of those are at odds with each other. Neither of those are mutually exclusive at all. They're two 100% completely separate things. Dealing with problematic players is totally distinct from running a fulfilling game. 100% totally different subjects at all. Running a fulfilling game has to do with things like designing the game well, designing it so that you have a rising action, you have a climax, and you have a wrap up in every adventure. Designing your adventures so that you have a variety of challenges and the encounters, designing your adventures around the three pillars, making sure you have exploration, combat, and social interactions, designing your adventures so that or your campaign so there's a variety of monsters, using plot hooks well, rewarding your characters well. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into running a fulfilling game, like just tons of stuff. Keeping players in line is a very specific thing. When you have to keep them in line, it presumes you have a problematic player. And dealing with problematic players is a very, very small subsection of what a game master does. So they're mutually exclusive. So there's running a fulfilling game. I have an entire channel of videos talks about how to run a fulfilling game. Keeping players in line, I have videos on that as well. Essentially, the basics of keeping a player in line is that when there's problematic behavior, you talk to the player and you say, hey, this is what I've noticed is happening, what you're doing. This is the effect that it is having on me or the rest of the players. It's how it's making us feel, perhaps, for instance. And this is what I would like you to do or stop doing. And that is basic guidelines, but it's a conversation too, because you want to understand that person's point of view and why they're doing the things they're doing. So it's not just I'm telling you this is the way. No, it's a conversation, right? But the basic parameters are those three things I mentioned, right? Explaining what the behavior is, explaining how it's making people feel or what the result of that behavior is, and then explaining what the way forward should look like. So that's how you, generally speaking, deal with problematic players. Okay, I saw something up here. For your custom monsters, do you intend to include alignment? Yes! I'm not taking... In our publications, we include alignment in all of our monsters and in all of our NPCs. Why? Because it is useful information for the game master to determine how they roleplay those creatures. If I know that drow are usually evil, that's good information for me to roleplay drow. Now, of course, if he has two scimitars, I know he's good. But barring that, most of them are evil. If I know that beholders are usually evil, that's good information for me. If I know that elves are usually not evil, but they're good, well, that's useful information to me. You see, when I know what the alignment of a species is, it helps me roleplay that species. So, yes, we're including alignment. It's good roleplay information for me as a game master. Kevin says, but if they don't listen or it's time to move on to the next level of kicking them. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. If you talk to your problematic player and you do the three things I said and they still persist in causing problems, like maybe you talk a second time, but you gotta kick them at some point. You can't just be like, well, you know, I keep talking to them, but they just cause all these issues. It's horrible. It's just unimaginable. But you know, they have a rough life. And, you know, they have a rough home life and they have all these things going on in their life. So it's really not their fault. So, you know, they're making our game miserable and we hate coming to D&D. D&D is a chore and they're always causing all these problems. And we all hate coming to this game because of them. And they make the game a real horrible thing. But you know what? it's not their fault, and we just gotta take one for the team, and we gotta help them because wow, they just no. D&D is a game. You're supposed to come here to have fun. It's not a rehab group, dude. It's not. You're not there to like help people with personal problems at the expense of everybody else's enjoying the group. Like that's not why you're there. You can't put up with somebody who's got issues just because, oh, poor little Timmy. No, dude, it's a game. You're not there to help raise them or help them recover or improve their life. You're not there to like help be a force of change in their life. You know, oh, well, you know, they're just a horrible individual and they treat people like garbage. But you know what? We're going to all come together and we're going to work. And over the course of the next decade, maybe we can help them change. No, that's not why I play D&D. I play D&D to have fun and to relax after a difficult day of doing working crap. Like, I don't want to have to go to a D&D group with somebody that I don't like, that we don't get along with, that makes the group worse, to try to like, what, rehab them? You know? No, dude. That's not what I do. I don't play D&D for that reason. So, I mean, people can do that if they want, but I'm not doing that. Dude, it's not a rehab group. Now, I guarantee you there are people that use D&D and other role-playing games for rehab and for helping people, because that's a thing. That is a verified thing. People do it. It has that as a use. And that's one of the things that's beautiful about it. But if that's not explicitly your purpose, then you're not beholden to do that. You're not beholden to do it. Kevin actually kicked a good friend of his out of an in-person game. Oh yeah, dude, that's hard, man. That's hard. And that's the crappy thing about running D&D for friends, because if they're a problem player, it's hard to kick them out. You're thinking, crap, man, this friend of mine is a bad player and they're making this game worse. But if I kick them out, they might not like me anymore and they might stop being my friend. And so sometimes you end up putting up with really bad players for a long period of time because you're afraid of the social ramifications, you know, outside the game of what might happen. And that's a thing. That's a thing. It's why I really like when I invite a new player, they're not a friend, they're a stranger usually. And so if in the first few game sessions or something, we can tell as a group that this person's not going to work, it's nothing to be like, yeah, this isn't working, dude. Sorry, you got to go. And we can call it a day. Because sometimes you can get people and you know pretty quickly that it's not going to work. Now, sometimes you get someone and you think they're okay and they're there for like a year or two, and then things become clear that aren't working. And then it's a little different. Then it's harder because then you have like relationship and history, you know, so that makes it harder. Now try make it even worse. What if it's like your significant other or like the significant other of another player in your group, and then you're trying to deal with a problem player? You can have a whole social quagmire. I don't know what the word is. Problem right there. Yeah. Ideally, yes, you should be able to trust your friends enough to tell them, stop that. Yeah. Ideally. Waffles, what's up, dude? How you doing? Yeah, I do use music in my sessions to help set the mood. Yep, I love using music. In fact, when I don't have music going, it feels weird. I don't like it. You can only say, not every table is right for every player. Yeah, that's true. Some players are just horrible. Some DMs are horrible too. So many times until the hard talk has to be had. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. John Doe, what's up, dude? Oh, Matt says, had one of my favorite people and best backer when we started our first campaign turn into the guy we had to lose. After he left, our games got so much more fun. I've had to kick 2 people out of my games before, and I can tell you that No, I've kicked 3 people out of the games now. Yeah, I've had 3 players I've kicked out of games now. And I can tell you that every single time after the bad player has been removed from the game has been so much better. There's this feeling in the atmosphere of relief on my end, and assuredly on the player's end, that wow, that bad player's not here anymore. Thank you. And then the game is more fun. It absolutely is. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, having like an arrow embedded in your hip and walking around for a while, and that pain is there, and then you finally get it out and you feel better. All right, I'm going really slow tonight. Oh, Kelf1, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. That was almost an hour ago. I'm horrible. What is the range on magic item command words? I would say you have to have in your hand, probably. Could you ignite flame touch from 30 feet? Nope. Deactivate floating boat from the shore? Nope. I would say you got to be touching it. Otherwise, there are lots of magic items that don't require attunement. And you might have multiple people that know how to activate it. They know the command word and stuff, and they could just be like activating it from wherever, as long as they can shout it or something. No, I would probably say that if the item doesn't say otherwise, and I would read the rules too. A lot of times these sorts of questions are answered in the rules somewhere. I'm just not familiar with the specific question because it's never come up before in my games. But my ruling, without looking it up in the rules, would be that you got to be touching the item to issue the command word, unless it says otherwise, or unless the rules say otherwise somewhere. But I would look it up in the rules. I got a question. Hold on, we're gonna look at something about looking things up in the rules. Hold on a second. So I got a question. Basically somebody was telling me that one of their players was abusing a spell and they weren't sure what to do. And they were asking me, how do you deal with players who abuse spells? And this person went on to say that the spell that the player was abusing was Enlarge Reduce. And what the player would do is when they entered combat, they would cast Enlarge on an enemy's armor. And then the armor would get much bigger, and then the enemy couldn't move and they couldn't effectively fight. Or they would cast Enlarge on the enemy's weapons, and the weapons would be too big for them to carry. Or they would cast Reduce and the weapons would be too small. And they were casting, you know, Enlarge and Reduce on the enemy's weapons and armor and other equipment and things like that. And then they were like, I don't know what to do. Like, he's exploiting this all the time, and it's unbalancing the game completely. And I read the question and I was like, huh, that would be problematic. And so then I go over to the spell and I look the spell up. Lo and behold, you cause a creature or an object you can see within range to grow larger or smaller for the duration. Choose either a creature or an object that is neither worn nor carried. That is neither worn nor carried. You see, sometimes the solution to these vexing problems, these problems in the game, is to read the game rules. Because perhaps on the off chance that the game designers knew a thing or two, they put something in the rules to address these problematic, vexing situations. So, usually when something is being abused and it seems way too powerful, here's why. Here is why. It is at its root a lie of omission. There is a propensity to state what something can do while ignoring the fine print. And in the case of Enlarge Reduce, you state that it can make things bigger or smaller, and you ignore that it can't apply to something that is being worn or carried. Specifically in this case, armor and weapons. They can't be used on those. Players commit this lie of omission on occasion, especially certain bad players. Dungeon masters might do it as well. But this lie of omission, especially when it has to do with a character's abilities or spells, is very common. Sometimes it is intentional and they're seeking to abuse the thing. Sometimes it is unintentional and they just didn't read it that well. Because let's be honest, a lot of these spells and abilities can have lots of text and lots of stuff to read and process. And sometimes you just miss it. And sometimes it's complicated and you just don't quite understand every little bit that's in there. So when there is something that seems overpowered, reading the spell, reading the ability has a good chance, in my experience, of clearing things up immediately. So I got this question about the enlarge reduce, and it took me a few seconds to go over, look the spell up. And in the second paragraph, second sentence, I literally found the solution to the entire question. And so I get questions like that, and I'm just like, I'm happy to read it for you, I suppose, but you could read it too. So I would say that looking things up in the book when there's a problematic thing going on, something's overpowered, is a good place to start. Drake says, I'd like to level up my descriptions. Do you ever work on presentation execution? Any drills or warm-up you have on describing the aspect of the game? Hopefully this question makes sense. Yes, it makes sense. So what I do is two things. First of all, I'm pretty good at just making crap up on the fly and describing something. The other thing that I do is, I was doing it this morning. I was designing part of an adventure for a group, and then I took a break, went upstairs and did something, and while I was doing that thing, I was also talking out loud and I was describing that area. I was just describing what the area looked like, and I think I might have also been simulating a dialogue that the NPC was having with the characters. Now, I mean, you never know what's gonna be said in the actual game, but one of the things I like to do is just pretend like I'm that NPC and I'm talking to the players, and I'm kind of simulating a dialogue that might happen. It's never gonna happen that way, and I'm not literally practicing what I'm going to say, because you never know what you're gonna say, because things change all the time. So I never write a monologue or a dialogue and then read it out loud to my players. I would never do that. That is, I've seen it done before, and when it happens, I'm just like, don't read a prepared monologue to me or a dialogue. Just act. Just role play with me for a second here. So, but I do this talking as the NPC as a way to, I don't know what in part it kind of gets me into the mind frame or helps prepare me for it or something. It probably improves it when I do it in real life. I don't even, when I do it, I don't even really have a reason that I'm doing it. I just kind of start doing it, probably because my mind is on the adventure and I'm just thinking about it, and then I just spontaneously start describing an area. Usually I'm talking as an NPC. That's what usually starts happening. And I'll practice the voice I'm going to use. Well, I'll practice a voice. Who knows what voice is actually going to come out when I'm at the game, because you might practice a voice, and then when you go to the game, the first sentence you say, you used a different way of saying things, and then you're like, oh crap, I have to stick with that now. I invented this accent on the spot, and now I have to stick with it. It wasn't what I practiced, but I'm screwed now. I can't change the way I'm saying things now. And then you have to stick with it. We're not acting though. Role playing is not acting. The game isn't acting. We're role playing. It's totally different. I'm designing a nerd room. What's decor that it must have? I don't know. Put paint on the walls. Sorry. Is all metagaming bad for the game, or is some metagaming good? Yes, some metagaming is absolutely good for the game. In fact, we couldn't play Dungeons and Dragons without metagaming. It would be literally impossible to play Dungeons and Dragons or any other RPG without some metagaming to some extent. Examples. Players metagame when they go on every single adventure. They trust you as the game master that the adventure is something they are capable of doing. Every time they open a door, every time they go fight monsters, every time they proceed through an adventure, there is metagaming. They are assuming that the adventure is winnable to some degree or another, and then they're proceeding. Can you imagine how horrible it would be if every time there was an adventure, the players were like, whoa, I don't know. This adventure could be really hard for us. I don't know if we should go on this one. It sounds really hard. This could kill us all. Do you have another one you could pitch us? Because we're gonna listen to you pitch us a whole bunch of different plot hooks, and then we're gonna try to pick the one we think we're most capable of surviving. Or do you ever have the players who are afraid of opening doors because they think they're gonna die? I had a player like this once. I had to explain to her. This was in my youngling group, so she was like 13 or so, and she was the fighter. No, she was a barbarian, and she needed to go first because she's the barbarian. And we had the ranger was going first because the ranger also was played by a girl, but she was not afraid of opening doors and she would go first. But she was squishy and she would get in trouble a lot. And so the other girl, who was the barbarian, who was afraid of opening doors and going first, I had to basically explain to her. I said, yo, you're the barbarian. Like, you have lots of hit points, you can rage and take less damage. You're what we call the tank. You're the big beefy one that should go first because you help the weaker people not get killed faster. And I told her too, I also just had to level and say, look, the game is designed usually to be winnable. So you don't need to be afraid of every single monster and every single door. The game is generally designed to be winnable. And so that is an example of a type of metagaming that is beneficial for the game. And if you didn't have that, it'd be really hard to play the game. And there's other examples of metagaming that you can come up with. I'm pretty sure I did a video on metagaming a while ago, and I talked through different types of metagaming that are beneficial, but that's definitely one of them. Yeah, so there's parts of metagaming that are definitely bad and make the game worse and are not desirable, but then there are some that you really want to have. Otherwise, the game. Another type of metagaming that's beneficial. Why does a group of 5 people stick together when everyone hates the Paladin? We all hate the Paladin, or maybe the Rogue has betrayed us several times and we hate the Rogue. But you know what? That group of adventurers, they stick together, don't they? They stick together. Why do they stick together? Because the players know it's a game and they know that they're supposed to, because there's one adventure and they're all going on it. And so they stick together. They overlook the fact the Rogue has backstabbed them. They overlook the fact that the Paladin is a moron who gets them in more trouble than probably the Rogue does. They overlook those flaws because metagaming. And if they didn't, and you constantly had the group splitting up and finding new party members, and then the player who's playing the Rogue gets upset because they don't want to adventure with the Rogue, and then can you imagine the trouble you would have if there wasn't some level of metagaming at work right there in that example I gave you? And so, yes, there definitively are certain types of metagaming that are good for the game and that help the game. Do you allow secrets and secret actions between the party? Obviously, secret until a point. Yes. Yes. To a certain degree, yes, I do. It depends on the thing and it depends on the group. But generally, I'm okay with that. Players will talk to me privately about things they're doing. I'll do that sometimes with players with things that I'm doing that I want to remain secret. I definitely do that and I allow that. There are some things that I do not allow to be secret. For instance, if a player wants their character to screw over another character, that is not going to be a secret. If your rogue wants to steal something from the Paladin, that is not going to be a secret. That is going to be on the table. We're going to do that out in the open. I want the other player to know that you have your rogue screwing them over. That is going to be out in the open, and everybody's going to know about that. And many times, keeping it out in the open, the rogue will be like, oh, that I'm not going to do it. Well, of course you're not. Yeah. And so you can avoid problematic situations. I mean, I probably wouldn't even allow that. I have a rule against PvP in my games, or because I want my groups to stick together and not have people get pissed at each other and have tension and drama and stuff. And not allowing PvP is amazing for avoiding tension and drama in role-playing games. Imagine that, because people do have people's emotions do get involved in the game and their characters and stuff. And when somebody in the group slights you and stuff, there's a probability that emotions are going to get riled and stuff. So I have a rule against that. But there are situations of some things that I don't want to be kept secret and that I want to be out in the open. And if I allowed there are certain types of PvP that are a little bit different. It's like on the line, a borderline of stuff that I might allow it. And in that case, it's got to be where everybody knows about it. Out of character and in character. Out of character, everybody knows about it. And I think that tends to keep people's behaviors in check a little bit. It's the phenomenon of the internet and anonymity, right? When nobody knows who you are, people on the internet behave like really bad people sometimes. The way people behave on the internet, on Twitter and other social media places, they're like little demons and devils. They're like horrible, absolutely despicable people. And they're that way because there's no accountability. They have anonymity. It's a hard word to say. And there's no accountability. Nobody knows who they are. They can't get in trouble. Nothing's gonna happen to them. And so they act like horrible, horrible people. That tells you something about human nature, doesn't it? But when they're in person and they're actually seeing and looking at the people, they behave a little bit differently. Many people do. Most people do. Most people behave okay-ish when it's in person, when they have to actually look at the people that they were considering insulting or saying something bad about or backstabbing, because it's different when you can actually see the people, you know? So I don't know. Do you think nerfing things or making things weaker or easier to digest will continue? Of course it will. I think that's the next evolution. Didn't they promise us in 2024 that we would have the next evolution of D&D? It's the next evolution. Do you allow rest casting, like casting mage armor at the end of a rest so you get a free spell slot? No. No, absolutely not. If you want to cast mage armor at the end of a long rest, it's going to use up one of the spell slots you just got back. You're not getting a free spell slot. That's stupid. Let's figure out a way to get a free spell slot. I answered that one. Not right now, but I'm going to click it anyway. I answered that one too, but I'm going to click it. What is your opinion on monsters of the multiverse with reworked monsters? So I have not really done much of a comparison of the monsters from Monsters of the Multiverse and then the older versions in Volos and Mordenkainen's Tome of Monsters. So full disclosure, I haven't really done a side-by-side comparison with a lot of them. I have lots of things to do with my time, and I already complain enough about wizards. I don't necessarily need to complain more about them. I don't need to go out of my way to find problems with them. Too many landowner laps as it is. So the ones I have seen, though, I literally looked at two of them this morning. I looked at the Rock Grubs this morning, and then I looked at, what was it? I think it's Blackguard. Yeah, let's look at Rock Grubs and Blackguard, and I'm gonna give you like a little bit of a side-by-side comparison here. So let's go over to my monitor and let's go to tools, encounters, Come on. Need to zoom back out. So if you look at rock grubs, I remember rock grubs being crazy deadly. This is the one from Monsters of the Multiverse. They are no longer deadly whatsoever. They just do a tiny bit of damage. La-di-da, who cares? Thank you, have a nice day. Now the old rock grubs were crazy deadly. So they basically, if you did not kill them on the very first round after they bit you, they would burrow under your skin, and then you would basically eventually die. They could kill like crazy powerful characters. I mean, obviously, you know, you could use lesser restoration or something. Any effect that cures diseases will kill them. So like a higher level party is going to have lesser restoration and get rid of it. That's not a problem. But my point here is that if you compare the old rock grubs to the new rock grubs, there is a fundamental change. Now, one might argue that it's a good change because a rock grub is a CR 1/2, and yet, holy crap, it could kill a level 20 character. So it is a fair argument to say that it shouldn't be that powerful. You could make that argument, and I wouldn't complain about it a whole lot because you're pretty much right. So one would say that that's probably a good change. One might make the argument of how the heck did it get published that way in the first place? But we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and assume they do very vigorous play testing and that just slipped through the cracks. Now, in the case of what's the other one? Blackguard. Blackguard was another one that I was working with. And this one, if you look at the legacy one, they have all of these spells right here that a Blackguard can cast. And what they did in the new version is they made it so that he could only cast 3 spells. Oh, come on. 3 spells. But as a bonus action, he could do all of these effects. Now this smite, come on, what are you doing around here? Ugh. I'm trying to, there you go. The smite, the blind, and the shove, well, at least the smite and the blind, those mostly replicate these spells. The blinding smite, I don't know what branding smite does. No, that doesn't replicate that one. It replicates one of them at least. So what they were trying to do, it seems like to me, is they were trying to make the stat block easier to use so that instead of having to look up spells, it just listed what they could do in the stat block. I like this approach. I personally would prefer to have to look up fewer spells and just have effects listed in the stat block. I think that's a better way to write monster stat blocks, because it makes it easier for the dungeon masters who run the monster. Now that's just one example. There were some other examples. Hold on a second. Let me look up another one. Because there were some complaints, obviously. We're gonna look up a spellcaster and see what they did to the spellcasters, because I've heard we're gonna look up the Archdruid and see what they did to the Archdruid. Because I know some people have complained about how they've done some things. I just haven't had time to really dig into it, in all honesty. So the Archdruid, this is the Archdruid as originally published. They have a whole bunch of spells they can cast. Scimitar, and they can change shape twice per day. And then if we go to the new one, they have taken out most of the spells. Oh, wow. That's a significant change. Instead of having a scimitar attack and then a bunch of spells they can cast, they have almost no spells. Wow, that's a big change. Firestorm, Hero's Feast is a good spell. Heal, Sunbeam, those are some really, Wall of Fire, those are some very powerful spells. Conjure Animals can be very powerful as well. Those are some very powerful spells. Of course, they're just going to get counterspelled and they're never going to be able to cast it anyway. So that's fair point. Fair point. But assuming that counterspell is not in the game, then they would have some very powerful spells they could cast. And then now here they can make 3 staff or wildfire attacks. It can replace 1 attack with the use of spell casting. Oh, that's cool. Staff does a little bit of damage. Wildfire is just a ranged attack that does damage. And then they can cast Mass Cure Wounds. Okay. Commune with Nature. Okay. Tree Stride, Fairy Fire, Dominate. Yeah, this sucks. This really sucks. It's the same challenge rating? And the new stat block blows hard. Wow. I wouldn't use this. The Blackguard wasn't too bad, but this conversion is abysmal. Absolutely horrible bullcrap. That's really bad. We need to look at another one. Yeah, I would be interested in how that challenge rating is actually accurate. Like Ed or Goliath Cleric, these are the 2 guys on my team that do lots of that type of math for our publications. The math might check out, but the crazy thing is that Jeremy Crawford himself said that one of the comments they got, one of the review feedbacks they got from the monsters in these books is that at the higher levels they punch below their weight. In other words, these monsters seem too weak at the higher levels, and so they tried to make them more powerful at the higher levels. That's literally what he said in a quote. And I don't see that with this stat block. Obviously, I've taken 1 out of like a couple hundred, but this one looks weaker and very crappy. Very crappy. Let's look at another one. We might as well just dig into this because we might come to some, I never have time to do this crap. Let's look at the Enchanter. The Enchanter. Let's see what they did to the Enchanter. Enchanter. Okay, so as originally published, it has a bunch of spells. Hold Monster, Dominate Beast. Those are very good spells. Fireball, Haste. Stone Skin is not that great. Hold Person's a really good spell. Suggestion, very good spell. We have some very good spells for the Enchanter. Again, we have to assume they won't be countered because counter spell just throws everything out the door. All right, the Enchanter Wizard now can make an arcane burst attack. Does a bunch of psychic damage. 3 of these does a whole bunch of psychic damage. Wow. He can do 80 points of psychic damage in a round. Holy crap, that's a lot. Before, his quarterstaff sucked and then he had to cast spells. And now he does a crap ton of psychic damage. And his spell casting is Tongues, worthless. Suggestion, good. Hold Person, good. Rest of the stuff is worthless. So yeah, they took all the fun spells out of the game for the Enchanter Wizard. And they basically just made him into a damage dealer. That's all he does now. So if you're gonna run the Enchanter Wizard out of Mordenkainen's, you're basically just you're Eldritch Blasting is what you're doing. Because these spells are not that good. Compared to this damage output, holy crap. Whereas before, you could cast Fireball, you could cast Dominate Beast, Hold Monster. I mean, you had some options that could be pretty cool. Again, assuming you don't get counterspelled. So yeah, they destroyed this one. This is stupid now. There was another one. There was like an Ultra Lithid or something that I wanted to look up. What is that called? Yeah. Ulitharid. Oh, that's not the one. Who was it? Yeah, I don't know. Ooh, a Morkoth. Let's look up a Morkoth. Let's do a comparison of the Morkoth. Right. So the Legacy Morkoth. This is a pretty cool creature too. It's a CR 11. It can cast Chain Lightning, Very, very nice spell. And then Black Tentacles, Lightning Bolt. We have some damage dealers, Dimension Door, Shield, stuff like that. And then it has some meh attacks probably. This one's not too bad. It's got some Bite and Tentacles. Hypnosis. Oh, that's nice. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. And then what'd they change it to? Oh, where'd it go? Oh, here we go. Okay. Its best spell, Chain Lightning, is gone. There you go. Its best spell that deals the most damage is gone. They took it away. So are they really making these monsters more challenging? I don't think so. Unless it's just pure damage output is all they're going for. In the case of the Enchanter wizard that we looked at before. Dispel magic is situationally useful. Darkness could kind of be. As long as you can see in the dark, which he has blind sight, so darkness could actually be helpful. But basically you got him back down to Lightning Bolt. So he's not going to be using, so then you have the tentacle attacks. The the bite and tentacle attacks are unchanged. They're unchanged. They're the same thing. Hypnosis is probably the same thing. I don't see how they made this more challenging. This looks like a weaker monster to me. It looks like a weaker monster with fewer options. Yeah, I don't see that being, that's so stupid. They literally have a statement from the lead game designer saying that they tried to make the higher level monsters more challenging, and I don't see that. We've looked at a few different examples now, and I do not see that. I see a trend toward making these monsters easier, not more challenging. There's a trend. We haven't looked at every monster in the book, obviously, but when you pull up a random number of monsters, or just you just pull randomly a few, I mean, maybe we got the ones that they nerfed, but I bet they nerfed a whole lot more of them. You can't buy access to the original books anymore? Yeah, they're gonna get rid of them all. Buy them what you can. Yeah. I bought it. I bought the Monsters and Multiverse book, but I literally only bought it because I made a YouTube video about it, which is gonna come out this Tuesday. That's the only reason I bought that book. And the lore is gone. None of the lore in that book was replicated. Like, Volo's, some of the best parts about Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes is the lore. All of the lore. And that didn't get reprinted in Monsters of the Multiverse. They didn't reprint that. It's just lost. If you didn't buy those two books, you lost the lore. And I bet you, like right now on D&D Beyond, you can see the monsters, the legacy versions, the old versions, and people have bought Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes on D&D Beyond, but I would bet you a good deal of money that they're going to turn those off at some point, and you're no longer going to have access to them on D&D Beyond. I bet they turn them off at some point. And that's actually going to piss me off. That's going to really piss me off if they turn those off. Because I want to use the legacy monsters. I don't want to use the new stupid ones. Every single monster I've looked up thus far, maybe with the exception of Blackguard, I prefer the legacy version. And when I run games online, I use D&D Beyond with all the monsters on different tabs so that I can quickly roll dice and play the monsters and not have to look them up in a book and stuff. And so if I can no longer reference those monsters on D&D Beyond, I'm not going to be very happy. I'm going to be pretty damn pissed. Whoops, I said a bad word. I'm going to be really upset. I'm going to be really upset. Yeah. The day they do that, I'm going to have a nice video on my channel. I tell you what. They said they wouldn't turn them off? Yeah. How many times has a company said something and then changed their mind? Yeah. How many times have people had jobs at companies where they say that you're a valued part of this company, you're part of the family, and then they lay you off, right? Companies say what companies say at times when it's convenient to say that thing. And then when it's no longer convenient and they change their minds, they change their minds. You know, they can change their mind whenever they want. There's nothing stopping them. We've updated your terms of service. Exactly. We've had a change of direction. You know, mitigating circumstances or blah 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 blah. They'll give you something, and they can just change their mind whenever they want. They're telling you that now because people were upset. People were upset, and they were like, "We bought these books. We don't want you to turn them off." And they're like, "No, we're not going to turn them off." That's what they said now. But do you trust them? That's the question. How much trust do you have? There have already been things that have been said that were not true, you know. So I mean, you know, how much you gonna trust? Oh. Did you know that they said that Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordecai's Tool of Foes is no longer accurate to the lore? Oh yeah. I've heard a little bit of that. They've changed the lore around Dwerger because Dwerger are no longer, they don't want them to be evil. Oh my word, they're evil. Oh. And so they had to change the lore around some of the Dwerger. Yeah. And yeah, they're changing the lore because people are getting all uptight about creatures being evil. Oh my word, they're evil. They're bad. No, we don't want bad monsters, bad guys. We want everybody to be just happy and friendly and love each other. You don't have D&D as we know it if there aren't bad guys. I swear. One of these days, this is going to get so bad that we're going to have to find a different game to play. I swear. It's going to get so bad where it's like, okay, I think I can't take it anymore. Okay, I need to take a break. Reminding folks, we have a giveaway going on. There's a link in the chat. You can sign up to you can enter the giveaway to get a D&D book or store credit on the DM Lair store. So we got the giveaway going on. I want to remind you that LairCon is this October 7th, 8th, and 9th down in Pensacola, Florida. We got links in the chat. There should be a link down in the description where you can learn more about LairCon. I will be there. Many of my teammates will be there. We'll be playing D&D, other RPG games. We'll have panels. We have workshops. There's my VIP game where you play with me. There's like one spot left in that. And then we have premium games where you can play with my team members, and they're really cool people. So come hang out. It'll be fun. So yeah, now we're gonna give my cat kitty treats. Kitty treats. No, catnip. All right, baby. Here we go. We have the pickle and the banana. And they were about to get destroyed by Squeaky. This is his favorite part of the stream. He's gonna roll around like a big tub. Watch him. All right, Squeaky, here we go. I'll be back. Justin says they're hiring immature people with no real background in RPGs, fake nerds to run their marketing and HR departments. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know who they're hiring, but who's this? Squirty Pie. Bye, RB Games. You know, the changes in the direction of the company and what they're publishing and stuff. I don't know. It's probably more reflective of leadership decisions, or I shouldn't say leadership. I should say management decisions. Management changes direction and influences those things. The people on the front lines just follow orders. They might have their own thoughts and opinions, but, you know, in a company that big, the management is making the decisions, not the people in the front lines. Now, in smaller companies, it's a little bit different. You know, when you have a smaller company, the people in the front lines usually are listened to, and their feedback is valued more, and they help, and they have a larger role in controlling the course of a company. If you have management and leadership that listens to them and values their input and their feedback, right? But in a large, big, huge company that's pulling in millions of dollars, billions of dollars, or whatever, you know, people in the front lines, they're just, management's doing what management does. The people in the front lines are just either they fall in line and they take orders, or they get gone. So I would look more at like the big hires, you know, the people in management roles, or deciding the course of a company, you know, people with like 3 letters after their name, the C-suite stuff, as opposed to people in the front lines. People in the front lines are probably not influencing the direction of the company at all, in my opinion. Bye, Gore. They're watching the online presentation of D&D and seeing that be successful in chasing those dollars. Well, I mean, but that's not stupid, right? Like, as a business, if you see something is successful, you should consider doing that thing. Like, you know, like there are certain things that I've done for my business that I try something and I'm like, wow, that really worked. People liked that video, or people really liked that product and they're buying that product. Well, I would just be an idiot not to try to keep replicating that sort of product, you know, and to ride that success. If I see somebody else in my sphere doing something really successful, and I don't think about, should I do that? You know, because they're successful, maybe I can get in on that. You know, I would be an idiot not to consider that. Like, why wouldn't I consider that? Like, I saw it was like a year and a half ago or something, you know, people started making these like these D&D magazines, these monthly magazines. It was the thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. My friend Dungeon Coach was like, hey, Luke, you should try this out. You know, it works really well. People like it. It's a useful product. People buy it. And I started doing it. And then lo and behold, you know, people liked it. And then your Patreon grows and it works really well. You know, so it's like if there is a product out there that people have demonstrated that they want because they buy it, then why wouldn't you consider making that product? You know, it's not bad to be smart about how you run a business. So if Wizards sees something out there that they're not doing, such as, you know, the Critical Role thing, and they're like, hey, there's money to be made there, maybe we should consider trying to do that ourselves. Like, that's smart. I'm not gonna fault them for that. That's smart. And if they don't do that, they're not doing their jobs. You know, like, yes, if you can make something similar to Critical Role and have it be successful and make money for your business, then good for you. rock on. You know, you can't fault them for that. It's not, and it's not they're being sleazy. They're just saying, hey, this thing works. Let's try it ourselves. Why wouldn't you do that? You know, if it's not unethical, if it's not immoral, you're just trying to, you know, somebody else is being successful in this, doing this X, Y, and Z thing. Well, let's try it ourselves and see if we can help capitalize on that, you know, and help our business out. It's not bad. You know, people are paying for it because people want it. You're delivering value to people. People will buy things that they want. It's an exchange of value, you know, and that's running a good business. Nothing wrong with that. We can be like, well, you know, they're just trying to capitalize on the money and stuff. It's like, well, you know what? If people pay for it, that's because they want it. They're offering a product people want. If people don't buy it, well, then that's because they didn't want it. I mean, this is just, you know, there's nothing that's not wrong. It's business. The real danger is making the game boring and bland. Yes, and I think they're headed that way. Alienating the core audience. They're already doing that. They're already alienating the core audience, which is not Critical Role, then watching it fail. I'm getting the vibe from Radiant Citadel, which I got for free today. I haven't looked at Radiant Citadel. I don't even know what it's about. I think I saw something. What is Radiant Citadel about? Is there any marketing blurb? I think I saw something about it that I wasn't interested. Radiant Citadel. There was something about it that did not appeal to me, and I can't put my finger on it. I don't remember exactly what it was. Journeys through the Radiant Citadel. Does it tell us what it's about at all? An anthology of 13 standalone adventures set in wondrous lands for the world's greatest role-playing system. It's an adventure anthology. A magical city with... it doesn't really tell me a whole lot. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably end up getting it. It's not like what was it? Strixhaven? I read the information about Strixhaven and I was like, no, I'm never buying that. This one is probably like, meh, I might get it. Is there an alt cover for it? Is there an alt cover for it? Juries. Alt cover. I'm a sucker for alt covers. That's the problem. I'm a sucker for alt covers. Yeah, except that alt cover sucks, so I won't be buying that one. No, this alt cover is horrible, so I won't buy that one. Now the Strixhaven alt cover is actually pretty cool looking. I kind of like that. I don't want the book, but I like the what do you want to call it? The cover. The cover is pretty cool. I should read the first free chapter. Maybe, but like I have so many books that I've bought that I haven't read sitting on my shelf. I just don't have time to read it. I'm not that interested in reading it. I would read the stuff I've bought already before. You know, the OSR thing, the old school Renaissance, I've heard of that. I haven't really looked into it a whole lot, but I'll tell you what, man. The more D&D makes the changes that they're making, the more the more it goes through my head that you should look at some other systems and maybe there's something that you would enjoy playing more. You know, especially if things continue to go their current trajectory, you're probably not going to want to play this game in a couple of years. I don't know. who knows what the next evolution is going to bring. So yeah, old school Renaissance is something I'm aware of that probably would appeal to me. And there's always like Pathfinder 2, which I'm not super familiar with, which I may or may not like, I don't know. But OSR is probably something I should take a look at, I would imagine. All right, let's see. Questions. Okay, I have super chats that I've missed. Oh my gosh, I am horrible. Lord God, thank you for the super chat, dude. I appreciate that. What's a typical game at your table like? More RP or more combat? Oh, my monitor just went black. Is it like a story or a board game? It's not a story, that's for sure. We don't tell stories. We play games. It's a mix of, I mean, there's definitely combat. There's combat in my games. Absolutely. I love combat. And there's a lot of, there's social interactions as well. There's always exploration. I try to have a balance of the game elements so that it appeals to all of my players. But I like combat a lot. So you're going to get combat in my games. You will get combat. And I like to run challenging combat as well. So you're probably going to get some challenging combat too. I also love social interactions. I love talking in weird voices and stuff. That's cool and fun for me as well. And exploration is always built into the game. It's never neglected. So it's a mix of those things. It's definitely a grittier, more challenging game than the average D&D game, I suppose. You're definitely going to need to fear your character potentially dying at some point. TPKs have been known to happen. I don't avoid them, and I don't cry over them, and I expect my players to also be mature and recognize it as a game and not cry over it. So I don't know. They're fun. We laugh a lot. I'm not out to get my players. I'm not trying to kill them. I'm just running a challenging game. I want them to win, but the bad guys want them to lose, and I roleplay the bad guys as well as I can. So I don't know if that gives you a flavor for it. It's probably not everybody's cup of tea. I create situations, I create adventures, and the players go on the adventures, and then they do stuff, and they have lots of freedom in how they approach the adventures. And then who knows what's going to happen? And then that's the story. But I don't set out with a predetermined story that I'm trying to tell. I think that's stupid. It's not. We're not playing some collaborative storytelling game. We're playing a game. We're rolling dice, and your decisions, the game rules, and the dice determine what happens. We're not just making stuff up, like just going around the table storytelling to make up a cool story. Ugh. No, we're playing a game. So I don't know. That should probably give you an idea of what my games are like. Do I still stream on Twitch? No, I don't ever go to Twitch anymore. And do you have a schedule for your campaigns? I mean, my Curse of Strahd game is every 2 weeks, except that last time we skipped a week. So usually every 2 weeks is my Curse of Strahd game. But it's not live, it's just pre-recorded. You can watch my Curse of Strahd game on my second YouTube channel, the DM Lair streams. And then one of my mods can probably put a link in the chat for you. No, I don't go on Twitch anymore. Twitch is diabolical. They're doing several things that are just abysmal. First of all, they are perfectly fine with different types of streams that are not good for society. Gambling streams. There are so many gambling streams on Twitch. It's not good. Just encouraging that addiction and encouraging people to ruin their lives. Gambling streams. They have these like very sexual hot tub streams and stuff, all of this type of stuff that they are okay with, you know, that's not beneficial for society.
And then there was another type of stream too that they allow that is absolutely immoral and horrible and despicable. I mentioned 2 of them. I can't remember the other one. There was something else they were doing that I didn't like. I also think that Twitch is not going to be around very much longer either. They're owned by Amazon, and Amazon wants to make money, and Twitch doesn't make money. Twitch has constantly made different changes to try to make more and more money, and I don't think they're being successful. I don't think Twitch is going to be around too much longer. I have a feeling that they're just slowly circling the drain. So I don't stream on Twitch anymore. I stopped streaming because of the moral reasons, not because of the fact that they're swirling the drain. Luke, will you switch to 5.5 or 6E when it comes out? Well, here's the thing. There's 2 things to consider. There's what does Luke do in his own games, and then there is what does Luke do as part of the business of the YouTube videos and the products that I produce, right? And the thought processes for deciding those 2 things are different. So when I choose what edition or games I'm going to play for my own personal private games, that has to do with what I enjoy the most and what I have the most fun doing. When I choose what types of videos I'm going to make or what products we produce, that's going to have a lot to do with what the customers want, right? Like if the customers are mostly sticking to 5th edition, then I'm going to keep on producing 5th edition videos and products. If there is a huge shift over to 6th edition, then I'm going to have to think about that from a business standpoint. Do I continue creating 5th edition products, or do I change to 6th edition products? That's a decision you got to make, right? Because you're running a business. What I do for my own personal enjoyment is distinct from what I do for the business, right? And so there are 2 different things and 2 different thought processes. Given the current direction of the game, I suspect that I will probably not change from 5th edition to the next edition, unless it happens to be something drastically different than what appears to be written on the walls currently. As far as the business, who knows? That's a decision that will get made when it's an appropriate time to make that decision as far as what's best for the business. How would you consider handling someone altering their subclass? No, only at Dungeon Master permission. For example, a Warlock breaking their pact, Paladin breaking their oath, Cleric abandoning their deity. Well, then they're screwed! Here's the thing. Doing those things, breaking your pact, abandoning your deity, breaking your oath, those are things that would break your character subclass, presumably, right? You would no longer have access to your warlock powers or your cleric spells or your paladin abilities. You would lose all of those things. And I think that we can all agree that that would not be fun from a gameplay perspective for the player on a prolonged period of time. They might be okay with it if like 1 or 2 game sessions, something happens and they have to figure things out. But if they just lose access to all of that stuff permanently, that's probably not what they want to do. And so if a player character is breaking their pact or forsaking their deity, I would be like, yo, dude, you know that doing that is going to have severe ramifications to your character. What way? Well, you're going to lose your powers. Whoa. But it's okay. Let's figure this out. If you have a warlock who has a pact with this archfiend and you want to break that pact, you as a warlock know you would lose your abilities. So why don't you have a backup plan? Why don't you seek out somebody else that you could transfer your pact to and not lose all of your abilities? Or if you're a cleric and you want to forsake your deity, okay, well, why don't you find another deity to serve or an alternative way to get your powers? So I would probably be very heavily inclined to work with my player to figure out a way that they could do the thing they wanted to do from a role play perspective, break their pact,
change their deity, forsake their deity, how they could do it from a roleplay perspective, but not lose the game mechanics. Because that would make, if they lost the game mechanics, that could make for very unfun gameplay from their perspective. And so I would definitely work with my player to figure out a way to do that. I'm not just gonna be like, whoa, you lost your warlock abilities. Ha ha ha! Sucks to suck, doesn't it? I'm not gonna do that because that's not fun for them. It's not gonna be fun for me because they're gonna be upset and I have to deal with that. That's not reasonable for anybody, you know? So I would definitely try to figure out a way to make that work, you know, in a reasonable way, you know, because you have to get your powers from somewhere. That's the way it works. And I don't really care what that somewhere is. You could make something up. The whole game is made up. It's okay. Let's use it. Let's be creative about it and figure something out. As long as there's some justification for it, I'm okay with that. Probably. I don't understand that question. I'm running Dungeons of the Mad Mage with 6 casters. Combat very easily becomes a slog. What are... My monitor goes black again. What are some tips to help combat other than constantly saying, take your turns faster? You guys, this isn't working. What do you mean? It's not working. Well, what do you mean? The 6 of you are all spellcasters and you take forever on your turns. I can't do this anymore. This is crazy. You guys, each of you takes like 5 minutes on your turn. One round of combat takes a half an hour to get through because of your spells. You're looking up spells. You're changing your minds. I can't do this anymore. This is miserable, you guys. This is miserable. We gotta do something, please. I appeal to you. What are we gonna do? Come on, guys. This is horrible. This is not fun. This is not fun. Like, you can't tell me that when all the other 5 players are sitting there trying to figure out what spells to cast, that you're having fun. You can't tell me that that's fun for you. You're just sitting there waiting for 25 minutes to take your turn, dude. You can't tell me that that's fun. We got to figure out a different way to do this, you guys. This is bogging it down. This is crazy. This is crazy. So I'm going to level with my players. I'm just going to say, guys, this is messed up. We got to figure something out because I can't run the game like this. This is crazy. Either you guys have backup spells that you cast when you're not sure, or like 4 of you change your class to something that's less complicated. Like if you can't handle the complexity of a spellcaster, you don't know what your spells do, and you can't figure it out, and you can't take your turns quickly, then play something different. Like, I don't know what the solution is here, guys, but I can't do this anymore. It's driving me nuts. This is crazy. Please help me. I don't know. I would appeal to them, and then hopefully the group can come to some sort of decision. But I'm probably gonna just throw myself at the mercy of the court and be like, guys, I can't do this anymore. It's driving me nuts. Please help. Please, for the love of all that's holy, please help. Do you ever have your monsters ever attack a character making death saves? Yeah, of course. Wouldn't it make sense to do so? I mean, when monsters aren't stupid, many of them have been around for a long time. They know that adventurers get back up. And especially when you see the bard casting Healing Word and the guy got back up when you thought he was dead. Next time you're going to confirm the kill. You're going to hack his head off. Like, it's just role playing, you know. It's not underhanded and dirty. You know, some of these creatures have lived for hundreds of years, and they're high level creatures. They've been around the block. They know how it works. If it makes sense to do so, and they can confirm that kill and make sure that that person does not get back up, they're gonna do it. Do you ever get tired of Eldritch Blasts and stuff like that? That is so oppressive in early D&D, repetitive. It feels kind of repetitive to cast spells with always the same flavor. Yeah, it's the same thing with like always just shooting arrows or always just attacking with your sword or always just punching with your fists. I was playing in a game a couple weekends ago. Was it last weekend? I think it was last weekend. Yeah, it was the game with Ed. It was last weekend, and I was playing, what was I playing? I was playing an archer. I was playing an arcane archer, and every round, all I really did was shoot my arrows. That's pretty much it. Pop out, I shoot an arrow. I shoot my second arrow. That's it. That's all I could do as an archer. That's all I could do. That's it. That's all I could do. Now, did my arrows have magical abilities? Yeah, I could use them twice per short rest. So I had to make sure I only used them, you know, when it was smart to use them. Got really repetitive. I've played barbarians before. It gets really repetitive. Just you attack with your axe. I attack with my axe. I rage, then I attack with my axe. Fighters. Now, some classes are more interesting, right? Spellcasters, you get to actually make choices. Sometimes they're meaningful choices. But a lot of the classes, yeah, it gets really, some of these things gets really repetitive. You're just swinging your sword, you're just shooting your arrow, you're just casting Eldritch Blast. So yeah, that gets repetitive. I totally feel that. In fact, after I had that game happen where I was just shooting my arrows over and over again, like I think it was the next day, I have like a publication crew that helps publish all the things that we make. And I shot them a message and I was like, hey guys, one of the things that we should think about putting in Lair magazine or maybe a standalone publication, I'm not sure, is different ways to improve combat options or battle options or something, giving people a variety of things they can do in combat to make it more interesting. Because right now it's like, if you're just shooting arrows all the time, that gets boring. Hacking with your sword, that gets boring. There's so many things that get boring. Like, I understand why people want to play casters all the time, because you actually have options, and it's way more interesting to be able to choose what you're going to cast on your round, your turn. Whereas some classes are just boring, dirt boring. So yeah, that's something that I don't know what we're going to do. We have a team meeting probably where we're going to talk about it more and stuff, but I'm not sure what we're going to do. But I'm hoping that we can get some options. And the thing is, it's hard to do, right? Because you want to give options. There's the balance between giving options, having them be fun, exciting, you know, different things that you can do, but it can't unbalance the game, right? And it can't bog the game down too much, because if it gets too, right, every rule you introduce, every new rule needs to have like double increase in fun to rules bog. If there's a slight increase in fun, but the bog added is so much, well, then that negates the fun increase and you're washed out, you know? So you want to have options. They need to be fun and interesting, but they can't be too rules heavy, because then it's like, we got all these rules you got to deal with. So there's a trick there somehow, and I don't know how we're going to do it. You know, it's going to be probably Zach and Ed trying to figure that out to somehow make it more interesting. But it's an idea I had to try to make combat more interesting for players, because for dungeon masters, it's not a problem, in my opinion. As a dungeon master, shoot, dude, I get new monsters all the time. And many of the monsters have different abilities and spells and stuff like that they can do. And it's not that big of a deal. There's a lot of variety as a dungeon master. So I don't feel like I get the shaft on that, because I always have new monsters. But when you're playing the same character all the time, and always a barbarian swinging my axe, or you're always an arcane archer shooting my arrows, or you're a warlock, I'm eldritch blasting, you know, that's like, okay, that's gonna get boring, perhaps, you know. So I don't know what we're gonna do, but I want to do something, because I thought that was boring from my perspective. Just the character only shooting arrows. It had nothing to do with the game or the game master or anything. It was simply that's simply a commentary on the class of just not having anything interesting to do. I don't know. Every once in a while, you need to be able to sweep the leg. At least something, yeah. Yeah, martial classes need more fun bonus. And I think that's the thing. It's the martial classes that really have the problem. The martial classes don't have any options. Spellcasters are fine. You have lots of options. Warlocks, not really. Warlocks have that problem too. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is though. It might be bonus actions. Zach, that might be a thing. The bonus actions. You can do something with bonus actions that would have some effect. Maybe. But you have to be careful not to make it too powerful, right? That's the problem. If it becomes too powerful, there has to be balance. It has to be balanced. I don't know. Kevin says, I'm pushing 40. Came back with 5th edition, but wanting for OSR of late. What are your thoughts on dropping back to OSR? I'm not super familiar with OSR. I can tell you though, I've played the older editions of the game and I like them a lot. I played like the original D&D, D&D 1st edition, AD&D, and all different types of stuff like that. I'm not super familiar with them, and I'll probably get my terminology screwed up, but I've played those before and I like them. They were fun to me. And so the idea of OSR is appealing to me. I can tell you that. So there's a chance I'm going to dabble in that at some point. Especially the more 5th edition changes annoy me. It's like the more they change things that annoy me, it's like Luke starts to look at other editions or different things I can play. It's like, OSR. I wonder if OSR is better. We should go try this. Maybe we'll like it. I don't know. What are your current best tips for preparing a session when your life is very busy? Thinking within a sandbox style game. Dude, if your life is busy and you don't have time to prepare a game, you should not be running a sandbox. That's the very first thing that I will tell you. If you are busy and you have limited time to prepare a game, you should be thinking about a good old-fashioned linear game. Actually, sandboxes are probably more old-fashioned than linear games are. But there's nothing wrong with a good linear game, dude. If you only have a certain amount of time, then you can't run a sandbox, man. That is a recipe for disaster. I don't have time to prep. I'm running a sandbox. Ah! No, don't do that to yourself, dude. You need to run a linear game. And you can just tell your players, you can literally be like, guys, I know we usually like to run sandboxes and you guys enjoy it and stuff, but I don't have time to run a sandbox right now. We're going to have to do a linear game. Or you guys are going to have to tell me way in advance which adventure you're going to do so that I can prepare that adventure, because I do not have time to run a true sandbox where I prepare several adventures. But I can't do that. I just don't have time for that, you guys. So yeah, the first thing is to get rid of the sandbox, dude. That'll cut down your prep time considerably. The second thing is the golden rule of preparation is to only prepare the things that you need to prepare. You know the things that you can improvise during the game, and you know the things that you cannot improvise during the game. So prepare the things that you cannot improvise very well, or that you don't want to improvise because you know that quality will be lacking. And then the things that you can improvise very well during the game, don't prepare them, just improvise them. That is the golden rule. So for me personally, the things that I need to prepare before a game, I need to have a map. I need to know what the encounters are going to be. I would prefer to have the loot determined in advance. If I have a map, I have the encounters and where they take place on the map, and I know what the loot is going to be. And that's kind of an optional thing. I could roll random loot at the table. I've done that before. I literally, when I've been pressed for time, or just because I want to, I won't roll the loot in advance. I will literally, at the game table, just randomly roll the loot from a table. And that's the loot. I could have done it before the game. I could have customized the loot, but I decided to roll it. So I've done that before. That's just me. As far as like descriptions of rooms, I can make that up. I can look at a map and make that up. You tell me it's a living room, I can make that description up. That's not a problem. What the NPCs say, I can make that up. That's not a problem. I don't have to practice that. I don't have to plan that out. Give me a map, give me the encounters, let me know who the bad guys are, because I don't want to be trying to figure out monsters and putting the encounters together, the numbers of monsters and the types of monsters. I don't want to do that on the fly. That's something I want to do in advance so I can make sure it's done well, so that I can design the encounters and the adventure well. So because there are different things I'm looking for when I'm designing it, you know. But you give me that, you give me the map, you give me the encounters, and I can probably improvise everything else, almost assuredly. But that's me, right? You need to know yourself and the things that you need to prep in advance and the things that you don't. And then just don't prep those things. Improvise them. And then there are some things that you maybe can't improvise that well, but you can kind of do okay with. Maybe you just improvise them and your game suffers a little bit. That might be something you have to do. You can't, there's nothing wrong with a solid B, right? So like diminishing returns, the 80-20 rule. If you're going to school and you're trying to get all A's, well, you know, Calc 1 and Calc 2 weren't that bad. You got to Calc 3 and things started to get three-dimensional and it's like, wow, I could probably still get a 4-point in this class, but I'd really have to study a lot and maybe go to office hours and ask questions and stuff. And I don't have time to do that. I'm gonna be okay with the 3-5 in Calc 3. And then differential equations, geez. Yep, I'm gonna be okay with the 3.5. A 3.5 is not bad. So my point, there's nothing wrong with a solid B. You can still get a really good job with a, you know what? Your piece of paper with the 3.5 grade GPA is the same as the piece of paper of the guy who has a 4.0. Still got the same job, right? Still got employed. So you can run a good fun game when some of the elements in that game are a little lacking, and it's still a fun game and everybody enjoys themselves. Could the game be even more fun and better if you spent way more time prepping? Yeah, but you don't have that time, do you? So don't sweat it. Run the best game that you can run according to the time you have to run the game, because the truth of the matter is that your players want to play D&D, and they probably have a hard time finding dungeon masters that will run the game because there aren't that many of them compared to the amount of players that want to play the game. So your game that's mediocre maybe is still good enough, and your players are probably pretty happy that they're able to play D&D because they couldn't find anybody else to run the game. So don't worry about it. The truth is that you don't have to be an amazing dungeon master to run a fun game. You just need to not suck. As long as you show up and don't suck, you're probably doing okay. Like, the barrier for entry in the standard isn't that high. Show up, don't suck, run an okay game, and your players are probably going to enjoy themselves and come back. You know, I think we put too much pressure on ourselves. The standard is not that high. Curse of Strahd milestones. I'm just, everything's a milestone that's in the book. I just have the standard milestones. I added a few other milestones as well. I want my players to be around level 15 before they actually fight Strahd. That's kind of my goal. So I added a couple more milestones in there for them. But I'm mostly just using the milestones out of the book. I didn't change things a whole lot. Have you ever changed some aspects of your campaigns, villain traits, bosses, adventure arcs, when you were already in too deep, or you stuck up with whatever you had planned at the start? Oh, I absolutely changed things. Absolutely. Example, in my Sword Coast Guard game, Lord Paxton was the final villain. Do you know when I decided what Lord Paxton's stat block even was? When I decided what he could even do? About 2 weeks before they fought Lord Paxton. I had never really decided what he was or anything. He was some sort of ascended storm giant. That's all. That's all the players knew. He was an ascended storm giant. I had no idea what he was. I had no idea what stat block I was going to use. I made that decision 2 weeks before the boss fight. So yes, absolutely change things if you need to, when it makes sense to do so. In this case, I didn't know what level they were going to be when they fought Lord Paxton. So if I make decisions on what stat block I'm going to use and paint myself into that corner, I mean, I could have made him like a CR 12 and they are level 15 when they fight him. Or I could have made him like a CR 25 and they're level 10 when they fight him. Now, you could argue that the game world is the game world and the villains are the villains and they are static and they don't change. You could do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You could make Lord Paxton a CR 25, and if they choose to fight him at level 10, they're in trouble. Yes, possible. And there's nothing wrong with that approach. But you could also be flexible too, and just customize your game according to what's going on in your players' levels and stuff. Nothing wrong with that approach either. It's all smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. Your players will never know the difference. We know, because we're behind there doing all these things. Your players will never know the difference. Are minors allowed at LairCon? Yes. Are minors allowed to run games? If they are mature enough to run a game that adults would enjoy, yes. So I would say probably if you're 16 years old or something, yeah, you can run a D&D game. If you're 12, it's probably not going to be the best fit for you, would be my guess. But if you're 12 and you want to run a game, then I would put in your game description that you're 12 and you're running a game, because then at least people can make an informed choice. So, because there are minors that are minors but very much mature and can do it. And then there are minors that are minors and probably are not mature enough to run a game. But it's I don't know, it's a judgment call. Don't hide the fact that you're a minor. If you're like 12 years, if you're going to LairCon and you're signing up to run a game, just tell us how old you are. It's not a problem. Like if you're upfront with us and you say, hey, I'm 12 years old, I want to run a game, you know, I don't think we necessarily have a problem with that. You know, we could literally just in the game description tell people, you know, that the dungeon, this is a game being run by a young dungeon master, you know, or something. I don't know exactly how. We'd have to be careful of how we worded that, you know, but we would want people to know that they're signing up to run in a game run by a young dungeon master. You know, there's a good chance that there's a family that's going to come and then their 2 kids could play in that game. Who knows? So I wouldn't say that we would prohibit that. I would just say don't try to hide it. Because it works more in your favor if you're honest about it. That way we can write the description of the game such that it's an accurate representation to people who would sign up to run that game. Because like if you're signing up to play in a game and it's just totally different from what you expected, you know, that could be a letdown. But if you know, hey, there's like a 12-year-old running a game. Okay, cool. Well, then there you go. Then your expectations are in alignment. You know what I mean? So yeah, just don't try to hide it, and I think you'll be fine. Is casting power word kill on a PC being out to kill them? No, especially if you do it on Penguin Butt, then it's totally fine. How often should a DM reward items to their martial class? I don't know. Or however often you want to, but if you're talking about magic items, then I would definitely not do too many, and I would keep it in alignment with what is recommended in the game rules as far as how many magic items to give people and of what rarity. That's my recommendation. My recommendation is to follow the recommended rules. I will make the assumption that the game designers knew what they were doing when they created the rules that give you the recommended number of magic items to give people. And then as you run games, if you find that those rules don't work well for you, then you can adjust things as you go. How do you feel about evasion? It's fun. Such as a rogue melee reaction. taking no damage from even an ancient red dragon's breath on a max made death save. Would a quarter damage work better? No, I'm okay with that. That's their thing, dude. That's their thing. Monks and rogues get evasion. You know, they take no damage if they make their dex save, and they take half damage if they fail it. That's their thing, dude. I would not nerf that. I wouldn't nerf it. Don't nerf it. That's my recommendation. Are there any classes, races, spells, etc. that you outright ban for your players? There's a couple, not a whole lot. I don't know what they are offhand. In general, what difficulty should I prepare an encounter? A variety of difficulties. You want easy, medium, hard, and deadly encounters spaced throughout your adventure. Do you make homebrew subclasses? I don't do that. If you do, what's your least favorite class to make them for? I just don't do it. I let wizards mess around with that stuff. My team and I create content for dungeon masters to run games. We don't really create player content. In relation to that, what is the usual ideal number of plot hooks you need to prepare for a campaign with multiple plot hooks? I'm prepping for a homebrew one that has a little bit open. I don't know. I think 3 plot hooks is a pretty good number to give your players. That way they have choices, but they also are limited in what they can do. That helps you prepare. It still gives them choices. They still feel freedom, but it also confines them, and it helps you prepare because there's only 3 options. And then ideally they're going to tell you which of those 3 things they're going to do in advance, and then you can prepare that thing. It's like the Taco Bell menu. You've been to Taco Bell, right? Their menu is insane. They have so many different things. It's like, how do you even choose this? Holy crap. Then you go to Burger King or McDonald's and it's like, well, you got a hamburger, or you got a chicken sandwich, or you got like chicken tenders, maybe a salad or something. But there's not a whole lot of options. It's just kind of like, okay, cool. That makes your choices easier. You know, you still feel like you can choose. It's like going to this is my pet peeve about Chinese restaurants. The menus at Chinese restaurants. Holy crap. I don't know where to start. And sometimes they're numbered too. And it goes up to like a number 100. There's 100 different things to choose from. And most of them I don't know what they are, so I have to read the descriptions. It's the worst menu in the world. Cut that bad boy down, man. I only need 10 options, dude. 10 options, baby. 10 options. And you know what? You give me 10 options, and it's also going to make your cook staff a lot happier too, because they don't have to cook that many variety of dishes. The prep time is less. The cooking is easier. Oh my gosh. You know what? Everybody is going to be happier probably for that. You know, 100 options on your menu? Holy friggin' crap balls. Are you kidding me? That's nuts. I guarantee you that out of your 100 options, there are 10 of them or a dozen of them that are your best sellers. Get rid of everything else. Have your 12 best options. Call it a day. Are there going to be some customers who are like, I want that thing? Yes, there are. Guess what? They're the minority. They will either get something else or they will go somewhere else. But you will decrease your work. You'll decrease the amount of crap you throw away because you prepared stuff you didn't need. Your cook staff it's gonna be faster. The food's gonna get made faster. It's gonna be easier. It's just everybody benefits from that, dude. Get rid of the 90 things that you don't sell and keep the 10 things that are good sellers. That's it. General Sao, blah 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 blah, Kung Pao, whatever the top sellers are. Get rid of everything else. That's my restaurant. I don't know if that would work. There might be a reason they have 100 options. I don't know. they're crazy. It's like a spellcaster trying to choose a spell. Yeah. I don't have a 3D printer. Oh, you might be asking somebody else. Oh, okay. I don't have any 3D printers. A chicken sandwich. So, my wife brought me something from Taco Bell. I'm gonna go eat that in a little bit. Okay. We are going to do a couple things. We are going to draw the winner of the giveaway. If you have not signed up for the giveaway yet, you can do so. There is a link in the chat. One of my lovely moderators will put that down there, and it's free. You enter for free, and somebody's going to get a D&D book of your choice, or you can get credit on the DM Lair store. So I'll give you a couple seconds to go in there and enter the giveaway. And also, because we have hit our goal for stack up, let me go over here. Things aren't clicking when I click. Oh my gosh. So I have to sing a song. I have to sing a song on stream. So I need to know what song I'm going to be getting. I hate broccoli makes me sick. Broccoli literally causes me to have stomach pain. I can't eat broccoli. I don't know why. I love vegetables, but broccoli makes me sick. I'll eat Brussels sprouts. I'll eat asparagus. I'll eat any old type of vegetable, kale. It's delicious. But broccoli makes me sick to my stomach. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, I got to sing a song. So I need to know what song I'm going to sing. So, if folks could give ideas, and then Goliath Cleric, I don't know if you're able to pick one for me or something. Oops, sorry, that was unintentional. I'm just flipping everybody off. Sorry. And then I have to do push-ups too. So I'll do the push-ups, then we'll do the giveaway, and then hopefully we have a song picked out, and then I'll sing a song. Now, as far as the stack up things go, because we hit our $6,000 goal for a stack up, I'm going to be running a D&D one shot for the top 5 donors. Everybody who donated $25 or more is going to get a Lair magazine bundle. And everyone who donated $25 or more is going to get an adventure bundle as well that has a bunch of 5e adventures. And then everyone who donates $25 or more is going to get a digital map bundle as well. So we're going to give out a whole bunch of digital resources to everyone who donates $25 or more. And then top 5 people are going to play in a D&D game with me. So there we go. That's pretty cool. All right, push-ups time. Oh, I'll sing a song in Spanish. Heck yeah. I'll sing a song in Spanish. It's not going to be very good. I'm a bad singer. And my throat is very hoarse right now. And so I have a feeling that my Spanish would suck right now. But I'll do it. I'm going to do my push-ups. I have to do push-ups. Somebody redeemed push-ups. So here we go. Oh. All right, there's some push-ups for you, and then what do we gotta do now? Oh yeah, the giveaway. The giveaway. All right, drawing a winner. Drawing a winner. Drawing a winner. Here we go. All right. The winner is Krazik Gaming. Billy C. Krazik Gaming. You have won, dude. I will be sending you an email so you can tell me the D&D book you want. And we'll get that sent over to you. Ugh. All right, Zach, what song am I singing? Zach. Torio by Cheyenne. Okay. Let's look this up. I gotta look this up on YouTube so I can sing it. Hopefully I can find what is it? Torero. There we go. I need the Is this gonna work? This might work. Okay, let me see. I gotta get this set up. I think this one has the lyrics. All right, I can't actually play the music to you, but what I can do, I gotta figure out my mixer really quick. System. Okay, I think that'll work. I need to make sure you can't hear this. Okay, yep, you can't. Okay. I'll keep that music going, and I'm gonna sing this song. I have no idea. Hopefully this is not it. If the lyrics start to get bad, I'm gonna stop, because I don't know what this song says. This is in Spanish too, so this is gonna be really bad. Torero. Cheyenne. Torero. Where are the letters? Let's go. Domingo desperado, corazón prendido en el calendario. Estoy buscando un mercenario. Okay, this is a really fast-paced song, so I'm going to play it at like half speed because I cannot do this that fast. So hold on, I'm gonna play it at half speed. It's going way too fast, and there are lots of words I don't even know. Y voy al contrario, comiéndome la vida a sobros y a tragos. Distes así de frente, que tremendo impacto. A unirme a tu mirada, dime si hay que ser torero. El alma en el ruedo. No importa lo que se venga, para que sepas que te quiero, un buen torero. ¡Olé! Me juego la vida por ti. Si hay que ser torero, ponerme el alma en el ruedo. No importa lo que se venga, que sepas que te quiero, mon buen torero. ¡Olé! Go la vida por ti. Y te que cuentan que ya me vieron solitario en un... Oh, no, I screwed that up. Ya me cambió por dónde estás, que mi presión ya no me da. Buscaré, vuelve conmigo. Y no, tú no sabes, te necesito como el perro al amo. Si tú no respondes, es que todo es caos. Diste así de frente, qué tremendo impacto. Reunirme a tu mirada, dime si hay que ser torero, ponerme el alma en el ruedo. No importa lo que se venga, que sepas que te quiero como un buen torero. ¡Olé! Me juego la vida por ti. Si hay ser torero, ponerme el alma en el ruedo. No importa lo que se venga, que sepas que te quiero como un buen torero. ¡Olé! All right, that's enough. All right. I'm not good at singing. I'm really not good at singing in Spanish. And I'm really not good at singing a song in Spanish that I have never heard or seen before. So I'm sure that was abysmal. Okay, cool. Good. All right. Sorry. Perdón porque eso fue, yo lo planché horriblemente. Eso fue horrible, pero horrible. Ese es el problema con cantar una canción que no conozco. Yo no sé ni jota. Y había palabras que ni conocía. Pero bueno, así fue. All right, guys. I think we're all set. We're going to end that stream with me looking like a moron. I was literally playing that song at half speed because they were singing that so fast. I was like, holy crap, I can't keep up with this. So anyway. Okay. All right, folks. I think that's it. We'll see you in the next stream. Thanks for hanging out. Have a wonderful evening. It's great. Bye. Bye now. I'm going. My cat. Oh, my cat. Look at my cat. We're going to leave with the cats on the stream, rolling in the catnip. All right. Bye. Bye now. Goodbye.